close the doors of your mind, close the gates of your mind, close the gates of your palace, your ba'ith, your ohal, your ohel, your tent, your mishkan, your mikdash, your hayikal, your sentient body within yourself, within your 12 cranial nerves, within your 12 melanin centers, within your yod and your kaf and your regal, within your tikfarat, within your center of your body, where your shore is, where you get connected to Yahuwah Elohim, and bring your body to center. Bring your thoughts and your mind to center, and bring Shaitan under your feet. For today is a day of freedom. Today is a day that Yahuwah has given to us as another Shabath, that we may cease from our labors, our works, and our own selfish self, that we may ride upon the high places, upon the wings of the wind. Rakub kanaf halat ruach, and you feed us with our akla. For today we acknowledge the one who made all the heart of the earth, all the rivers and streams of the earth, Yahuwah Elohim, the one who formed and shaped all male and female Zakar Nakubar within their inner men and their inner being, the one who formed the womb of a woman that she may bear forth children, the one who allows a Ish to rule and to govern with all authority without domineering or any type of strife, Yahuwah Elohim, the one who allows man and woman to operate in this world as both rulers of this world, as authority and dominion over all things that he's given into your hand, Yahuwah Elohim. So as we move forward in his righteousness, in his sadiq, his sadaqah, we walk in his integrity, not our own integrity, his wisdom, not our own wisdom, his binah hakmat da'af, not our own. For we walk in our own, then we will forget that he made the Shamayim in 6 days and he rested the 7th day, even as today is. So as we move forward in his ahab, in his love, in his ahaba. Right, so this is the book of Tahalim, Psalms, the book of Psalms, Tahalim, Psalms, chapter 1 and verse 1. The book of Psalms, Tahalim, Psalms, chapter 1 and verse 1. It says, Barak is the man. Barak is Adam. Right, so that when you talk about Adam, look at the beginning. Look at Bereshit, chapter 3. Barak is Adam who walked not in the counsel of the wicked. Right, so when you look at the wicked, you look at the Nakash. And you look at the Nakash deceiving the woman, and then this ended up deceiving Adam. He said, Barak is Adam who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners. He said he don't even get in their way. Why? Nor sits in the seat of scoffers, those who mouth at. He said, I don't sit in those seats. But his delight is in the Torah. He said, I delight in the Torah of Yahuwah. Why? Because that is your guide. Why? Because the head of every man is Mashiach Yahusha, the word of Elohim, and the head of Mashiach is Yahuwah. And guess what? And on his Torah, he meditates yom and night. So you have to meditate Haggah. You have to ponder on his Torah yom and night. Because you got to be a Safa in your household. Just like the Isha has to be a Safa in her household. You got to make sure that you up, that you watching. For your adversary is seeking somebody to devour in their mind, in their thoughts, in their health, in their mental faculties, under their bed, in the corner of your room, right? Coming in astral projecting, doing evil and raw things into your household. Why? You gotta be on watch. You gotta be ready. Why? Verse 3 says, he is like a tree, he's just like an ace. Just like we went now, we are planted. Just like a tree is planted now and we're moving toward the longest day, your tree should start growing. He is like a tree planted by streams of water. Streams of water, just like he said, that rain and snow come down from Shamayim, just like Daniel was sitting by the river of the rapids, the rapid river, the girl, right? And he was what? He saw visions of Malachi. He's like a tree planted by the streams of water that yields its fruits in its season, just like you yield those 9 fruits in Galatians, right? Those same 9 fruits you're supposed to give birth to on your tree. But then you look at that tree bearing 12 manners of fruit. Those 12 cranial nerves, those things inside of your mind, those things that linkage to your own body. Those 12 cranial nerves that exist, that connect to your spine, all the way down to the bottom of your feet, where you plant your feet on the ground and you feel the electromagnetic energy and the vibrations of the earth. And it flows up to your thought process in your frontal lobe. And it takes on your personality in every aspect of your life. And it says, and its leaf does not wither. It doesn't wither. Why? Because you will always have a waving the sheaf offering. Just like we have a waving the sheaf on the 26th day of the first month, you got to wave the sheaf. Because you can't see it when your trees are bare. When you ain't got no foliage, you got to make sure your tree still has foliage on it. So you can see so the wind, you can actually see your wave offering. You can't see that with a bare tree with no leaves on it. That's why there are certain trees, there are 14 trees that don't lose its foliage. right? And a pine tree is one of them. Right? And you look at that. But that's a whole bunch of stuff I just said. And it yields its fruit in the season, and its leaves does not wither. In all that he does, he prospers. He said, everything he does, it prospers. It ain't just money. You know, if you say, man, that's a blessing from Yahuwah, right? It's always got to be monetary, some possessions, right? It always has to be something of that nature in order for people to feel like you got a barak in this world for some reason, because that's what carnal-minded people think. But the actual barak is something that's internally. It's an internal transformation. Which one would you rather have? An internal transformation and go to Shamaim's and go to the Malkuth with Yahushua Mashiach, or get a transformation in your life and go to Sheol with all your possessions? Which one? Because that's the whole point. Transformation within oneself. Your 12 branches need to bear fruit, right? The very same thing. And it says, the wicked are not so, but like the chaff in the wind drives away. Just like, you know how so small? They ain't grow yet. It's like a small little chaff in the wind. You know, a strong tree, when it has roots, when the winds blow, what happens? Right? It stands the test of the wind, the storm. A little chaff goes into the wind, right? He said, why the tree ain't moving? Because, verse 5, therefore the wicked will not stand in judgment. He said, you ain't going to stand. In Shaphat and Mishpat. And that's what this is. Nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. That's why they don't do. That's why they don't come. That's why they don't participate. For Yahuwah knows the way of the righteous, but the wicked will, he says, but the way of the wicked will perish. So why we start there? Because all this is a part of your transformation. It's just like the trees changes, you have to change. And if you don't change, things won't happen, right? So this is the book of Matthew. This is the book of all this is a part of it, right? So this is the book of Luke. Go to the book of Luke or Yah. Luke or Yah 14:25. Luke or Yah 14:25. Luke or Yah 14:25. Now great crowds accompanied him. Right? He said great crowds. That's during the time of Jerusalem. And turned and said to him, if any, and he turned and said to them. So he turned around. So they all accompanied him, and he turned, which means he had to turn around and see and look at them. If anyone comes to me and does not hate his father and mother and wife and children and brothers and sisters, yes, even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Why would he say that? How many days Yahushua was here? For 40 days. And what did he tell us to do in the first month, from the first day to the 16th day? He said, clean Ayol out of your tent, your tameh, your tumor, your sexual desire. That's why he said, don't hate your wife. He said, you got to hate everything you have. He said, even your own life. He said, you can't even be my disciple. He said, you can't even follow me. Because your mother and father may be doing evil. And then you got to follow what Yahushua said. Your son and your daughter, your brothers and sisters may be doing raw and evil. And guess what? Who you going to be with? Because you love them more than you love Yahuwah. So then when a correction comes, who you love more? Because that's the whole point. Yes, even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Whosoever does not bear his cross, totality, and come after me cannot be my disciple, which means you got to carry the burden of totality, which means you got to bear the ark. You got to bear the ark. You got to be in a certain position to nasa the ark. And if you can't do it, he said you can't be his disciple. You have to be clean in a certain way. Tameh, tuma, in your tuma. You got to be clean. You got to have pure hands, pure feet. You got to make sure you got to wash your feet. People say, I don't want to wash my feet. Yeah, you got to wash your feet. You got to make sure everything's out of your life. Then he said, you can be my disciple. Everybody can't be his disciple. That's the whole point. Why would everybody be able to be Yahushua's disciple? You know how they say, everybody his disciple. But he said, you got to do some things. But guess what it says? For which of you desiring to build a tower, so here we go. So in order for you to build anything, he's trying to tell you something. Which of you desiring to build a tower does not first sit down and count the cost, whether he has enough to complete it? And he's like, you know how much money it costs to build now? He's like, You may not be able to build that one in this physical reality right now because it's so expensive, but in the other temple, you can build this one. And guess what he said? Otherwise, when he has laid the foundation, okay, he laid the foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it will begin to mock him. That's what people do in this world, in the physical reality. When you got something, a land, a house, you have some things, possessions, and you ain't did nothing, or you ain't finished. Now, ha, ha, look at him, he ain't did nothing. Ha, ha, look at him, he ain't built nothing, right? And then people start making these mockeries of it. But he said, have you looked in the inward man yet? That's the whole point. What building are you building? Isha, Yalad. What buildings are you building? Because that's the whole point of this. Because carnal-minded people only think about their carnal things. Right? And people say, why everybody can't follow Yahushua? There's the reason. Verse 30, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. Right? Now, remember we talked about Yahushua finished the work. He said, it is finished. But then we still had another 2 days. We still had some days before we had to cleanse ourselves, clean the Aydah tent before the third day. And nobody finished. How many people finished it? now you see why you can't be his disciple. He said, how many people finished it? But then you get another opportunity to do it again. To lay the foundation for your life for the whole year. Right? All who see it will mock him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. Or what king goes out to encounter another king in war and will not sit down first to deliberate whether he is able with 10,000 to meet him who comes against him, or 20,000? And if not, while the other is yet great way off, he sends a delegation to ask for the terms of shalom. Isn't it what we see now in the world? Isn't it what everybody doing now? Man, you know, we had some talks. We're trying to create peace, right? And then you have, man, maybe I should send 200,000 just to make sure if they do something. Then you send a delegation, ambassador to say, shalom. That's what people are doing today. And people say, how can I learn politics in the Torah, in the scriptures? You can, right here. And he says, so therefore, any one of you who does not renounce all, he cannot be my disciple. He said, you got to renounce it all. He said, how does that work? Because he's not giving it to people who don't. He said, I'm not going to let you follow me if you don't. And you know what that's good? You know what that's good for? It's good for the people that wants to follow him. He said, okay, these are the requirements. And if you can't meet those requirements, I'm trying to save you from real hurt, pain, and you having a worse life in your life. I'm just trying to save you from that. Because everything that he did, you're going to have to do. And the only way you do that, you have to do all of that, right? And this is all a part of it, right? So this is the book of Deuteronomy. The book of Deuteronomy. Book of Devarim. It's the book of Deuteronomy. I think it's 29. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 29, verse 1. Devarim, chapter 29, and verse 1. Deuteronomy, chapter 29, and verse 1. It says, these are the words of the covenant that Yahuwah commanded Moshe to make with the people of Yasharal in the land of Moab, besides the covenant that he made with them in Horeb. And Moshe summoned all Yasharal and said to them, you have seen all that Yahuwah did before your eyes in the land of Mizraim, so you should have already seen that. We just did it. To Pharaoh and to all his servants and to all his land, the great trials that your eyes saw, the signs and the great wonders. But to this day, Yahuwah has not given you a heart to understand, or eyes to see, or ears to hear. He said, I didn't even give you a heart to understand it. And you say, why Yahushua was here for 40 days? Even though it came out of Mizraim, you do all the rituals and everything, right? So then why was he here for 40 days? Because he didn't give you a heart to see, understand, and eyes to see, and ears to hear? That's the reason why. Why do you think he was here? 40 days is important. I have led you 40 years in the wilderness. Why do you think Yahushua was here for 40 days? Everybody understood him and understood him completely, and they understood it, and they came out of the water with the ruach. You know how they say. He says, you have not eaten bread, nor, he says, sorry. Verse 5, I have led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your clothes have not worn out on you, and your sandals have not worn off your feet. Why? Who would want to wear the same thing every day? I wear the same thing every day. Follow this man Yahushua, wear the same thing every day, and then do the same thing every day. And guess what? You have not eaten bread, and you have not drunk wine or strong drink. He say, why would I want to follow Yahushua Mashiach? That you may know that I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. He say, why do I want to follow him? Makes no sense. And when you came in this place, Sihon and King Heshbon, Og, the king of Bashan, came out against us to battle. Right, the giant came out. And guess what? But we defeated them. We took their land and gave it for an inheritance to Reubenites and the Gadites, the half tribe of Manassites. Therefore, keep the words of the covenant and do them, that you may prosper in all that you do. So think about that. All that took place, and then you say, what does this got to do with anything? Verse 16, skip to verse 16. You know how we lived in the land of Mizraim. Like we all do. We know that. Now, you should have came out of the land of Mizraim. You shouldn't even be in that mindset. And how we came through the midst of the nations through which you passed. How you just passed right through them. And guess what? And you have seen their detestable things. Now, you done seen everything that... Now, it's even more advanced now with the things they're doing, because all the sorcery and magic, witchcraft and wizardry, and all of the shape-shifting portal jumpers and the portal time loops they keep you in. Now, you can see all the evil stuff they're doing, with all these different things they do through television, radio, frequency waves, metals in your body, they put it in your food, try to microwave your mind, and everything else they're doing, right? You see everything they're doing, and you know what we do? They're idols of wood. You see all their idols in the world. They even title it idol. You say, what? They even titled it. They don't got it hidden in like corners with numbers or anything like that. They got it titled idol. And you know what? And stone, you seen their idols of stone too. Their silver and their gold, you see how they worship silver and gold, which were among them. Verse 18 says, beware lest there be among you a man or a woman or clan or tribe whose heart is turned away today. Now you see why you say you got to hate your mother, father, brother, sister, wife, everybody. You can't be his disciple. You can't. A man or woman or tribe whose heart turn away today from Yahuwah our Elohim and go serve other gods of those nations. Beware lest they be among you a root bearing poisonous and bitter fruit. Now you see why Yahushua, if you're gonna have to hate everything to follow me. You're gonna have to hate your own life. Because when I start to tell people how wrong they are, I assure you they're gonna do the same thing they did to me, and you cannot try to hate. They're gonna look at you, and they're gonna look at you, they're gonna look at me, look at you the same way they looked at me. Verse 19, one who, when he hears the words of this sworn covenant, baraks himself in his heart, saying, I shall be safe. You know how they say, I'm gonna be safe. Though I walk in the stubbornness of my own heart. This will lead to sweeping away of moist and dry alike. It's gonna take away the water and the dry and the water and the dry alike. Because if you do these things when it's green, like it's green outside, you know, people do this stuff when it's green. Like they worship idols, wood, stone, gold, silver. They go after other people's gods and everything like that when it's green outside. He say, imagine what you're going to do when it's dry. When there ain't no vegetation. He like, man, you really going to go after them gods. Just like they did in the wilderness. They were ready to go back. It was in the desert. Yahuwah will not be willing to forgive him. Now you see why. Expect judgment. And you know what happens? He that loveth mother, father, sister, brother, wife, anybody, and then they do that, you know what they're going to do? He said, man, you're going to have to hate your family then. He said, what? And guess what? Yahuwah will not be willing to forgive him, but rather the anger of Yahuwah and his jealousy will smoke against that man or woman or a child or mother or father or sister and brother. And the curses written in the book will settle upon him. So if you don't do this, it's going to settle upon you too. And guess what? And Yahuwah will blot out his name from under Shamayim, right? And Yahuwah will single him out from all the tribes of Yasharal for calamity, in accordance with all the curses of the covenant written in the book of the Torah. So, and guess what? And the next generation, your children who rise up after you, and the foreigner who comes from a far land, will say, when they see the affliction of the land and the sicknesses with which Yahuwah has made it sick, the whole land burnt out with brimstone and salt, nothing sown and nothing growing, where no plant can sprout. And don't you want to grow during this time? Like we talked about these 40 days, right? All up until the 50th day. And overthrow like that of Sodom and Gomorrah and Admah and Zavaim, which Yahuwah overthrew in his anger. And the wrath of all nations will say, why has Yahuwah done this to this land? And you know he's going to make it a spectacle. But all that's important. That's all important, right? We're going to stop. We're going to go out of here, right? So this is the ninth day of the second month. How you say the month of Ziv or Zu, right? So on the ninth day of the month, heading towards the longest day toward Chag Shabor, right? And we know that the ninth month, Zu, is the month of flowers, right? It's the month of brightness, right? So we look at the flowers. We look at the sunflower. Look at how the sun moves toward the ecliptic plane, and then we start seeing the sunflower as it moves toward the ecliptic plane. And you say, and the understanding of everything, and the spirals, and everything that we need to understand within ourselves, and understand who we are. Why? Because to go after other Elohims is death. But to go after Yahuwah Elohim and to understand who he is in his totality is life. And he said, just like a field of flowers is, just like you are. And these are all a part of the blossoms that should take place in one's life, and the changing of the times, right? The changing of the times, right? So this is the 23rd day since the 16th day at Aydah of Chag when Yahushua rose. 23rd day. So it's 23 days since the 16th day of the first month. On the 16th day at evening of Chag on the 17th day when Yahushua rose on the 3rd day of Chag So we're 23 days since then. And with 24 days since Yahushua appeared in the house with his disciples. I think that's right. I gotta just check that. I'll check that. But yeah, since Yahushua appeared with his disciples and revealed himself on the fourth day of Chag right? So that's the fourth day of Chag All this took place during the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So now, and we're 14 days since Bakur waving the sheaf, the Omer. On the 49-day count toward the 50th day, so there's 35 days left, going towards the 50th day, which is and what day is that? That's the 4 days from the second Pesach, right? So we're 4 days also from the second Pesach, the 13th day at evening. All this takes place in this time period. So you're 23 days since, 24 days since, 14 days since waving the sheaf, and 4 days to the second Pesach. On the 13th day, in between the 13th day at evening, in between the suns. All this takes place in these 40 days. Just like he said, I led you in the wilderness for 40 days, 40 years. But all this correlates. This book of Acts 1 through 4. In the first book, O Theophilus, I dealt with all that Yahushua began to do and teach. Why? Because all this is a part of his teaching. And if you forget, then you ain't going to understand what's taking place. Until when he was taken up, after he had given command through the Kudash Ruach to the Shalakim whom he had chosen. He chose them. Did he choose you? I haven't chose. He said, I chose you. You didn't choose me. He presented himself alive to them after his suffering by many proofs, For what? Appearing to them for 40 days. Just like 40 years in the wilderness. But he said, beware. Lest any one of you turn and go after another Elohim. Why? And speaking about the Malkuth of Yahuwah, because you're going to miss the Malkuth of Yahuwah. And every year it repeats, every year. And you're going to miss it. If you say you in these 50 days, you say, you know what, I'm going to go worship other gods. And Yahuwah going to take away all your understanding. You'll be not Hamada'ah. You ain't going to have no understanding of the Torah anymore. He's going to take it away from you. He's going to take it away from you and afflict you with judgment. And people say, yeah, I want that. So, therefore, stay on the right. Stay on the way that he wants you to go. Verse 4 says, and while staying with them, he ordered them not to depart from Jerusalem. He ordered them. Please don't leave. But to wait for the promise of the Father. Why? Because the inheritance of the priest is Yahuwah and his promises. Which he said, you heard from me. For you cannot immerse with Ma'im. But you will be immersed with the Kudash Ruach not many days from now. Right, it's the book of Leviticus 23, 15 through 16. You shall count 7 full weeks. We're on the second one. We're on the second one. Second Shabbat. From the day after the Shabbat, from the day that you brought the sheaf of a wave offering. Ye shall count 50 days to the first day after the seventh Shabbat. Right? You shall present a grain offering of new grain to Yahuwah. Why? Because things should grow all the way through this time. It should grow all the way. He said you should have a new grain. By the time Chag Shapoor come around, you should have a new grain. That's both male and female. Right? So he said 7 full weeks. Right? You look at 7 times 7 is 49. Which equals to 13. 4 plus 9 equals 13. 49th Yom at evening is 50th day. Why is it important? Because it's important. And if you forget, you're going to miss a lot of things. And he said, right, this is the book of Exodus 16, 27 through 36. On the seventh day, some of the people went out to gather, but they found none. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, how long will you refuse to keep my commandments and my laws? He said, so how long? That's both male and female. How long? See, Yahuwah has given you the Shabbat. Therefore, on the 6th day, he gives you bread for 2 days. Right? He gives you bread for 2 days. He say, why he giving you all that food? You know why he give you all that food? Because you know why? Because people tend to want to go eat other things. Or you mean to partake of other trees in the garden. To go and eat other things from other people they should not eat. Then once they leave Yahuwah and go to another Elohim and get some food, then you know what happens? Forget Yahuwah. I don't care about him anymore. I don't care about the people who believe in him anymore. Remain each of you in his place. Let no one go out of his place on the 7th day. Right? What does that sound like? Pesach. Doesn't that sound like Pesach? Don't you leave out your house. None of it remains till the morning, because the destroyer outside. But guess what? So the people rested on the Shabbat day. Why? Now the house of Yasharal called its name manna. It was like coriander seed, white, and the taste of it was like wafers made with honey. Moshe said, this is what Yahuwah has commanded. Let an omer of it be kept throughout your generations, so that they may see the bread with which I fed you in the wilderness. Now you see why you can't forget it. I'm giving you all of the bar. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of Yahuwah. They got to see the bar, see the bread in your life, in the wilderness, and where you are. They have to see it. When I brought you out of the land of Mizraim, they have to see it. And guess what? And Moshe said to Aaron, take a jar and put a omer of manna in it, and place it before Yahuwah to be kept throughout your generation. He said, keep that little jar. You know how people keep a jar, and they put it, and they have it. Say, make sure you keep that, just so people can see that. And Yahuwah commanded Moshe, so Aharon placed it before the testimony to be kept. He placed it right before the testimony, just like you put it in the ark, Aydah. He put it in there. The people of Yashua ate man 40 years. Now you see why Yahushua was here for 40 days. What do you think he's here for? He's here for 40 days till they came to a habitable land. That's the only reason he's doing it. He got to make sure I keep you and make you understand me. They ate the manna till they came to the border of the land of Canaan, right to the end of it. And Omer is the 10th part of an ephah. He said it's the 10th part of an ephah. It's a 10th. But guess what? Oh, that's a part of it. Right? This is the book of Deuteronomy 25, 1 through 4. If there is a dispute between men, and they come into the court, and the judges decide between them, acquitting the innocent and condemning the guilty, then if the guilty man deserves to be beaten, the judge shall cause him to lie down and be beaten in the presence with a number of stripes in proportion to his offense. Now you see why they took Barabbas. He said why they acquitted why do you think they condemned the innocent and acquitted the guilty? Whom do you want us to release unto you, Barabbas? And guess what? They ended up beating Yahushua down, according to the Torah. They beat him down. And guess what? To lie down and beaten in his presence with a number of stripes in proportion to his offense. 40 stripes may be given to him. Man, he said 40 stripes. Why do you think Yahushua here for 40 days? Because you know why he here for 40 days during this time? Because they condemned him, he was innocent, and they acquitted the guilty. So he came here, he was here for 40 days to beat you for 40 stripes. He came here to beat you with 40 stripes. He's why here for 40 days. I'm going to beat you every single day. All the way for 40 stripes. 40. Guess what it says? 40 may be given to him, but no, not more. Why do you think Yahushua couldn't stay here for longer than 40 days? Not more. Lest if one should go on to beat him with more stripes than these. He's like, Yahushua ain't cruel like y'all, like human beings. Your brother, he says, if one should go on to beat him with more stripes than these, your brother be degraded in your sight. Now you see why he ain't do it. Why do you think Yahushua ain't do that for 40 days? He said, why he here for 40 days? So he ain't going over 40. Because he don't want to be degraded in your sight. He don't want his brothers to be degraded. But you know what people do? They'll do that to you. They'll do that to you. They'll beat you over 40. They'll beat you for 8 years. 16 years. And degrade you right in people's sight. 16 years, they'll beat you. 7 years, a decade. And they'll degrade you in your sight even after they do it. They keep going. And they be like, man, you over 40 now? He's like, yeah. They don't beat you over 40. And you know what happens? Verse 4, you shall not muzzle an ox when it is treading out the grain. What do you think we have supposed to present a new grain offering after what? 50 days, right? After 50 days, you're supposed to present a grain offering. But Yahushua was here for 40 days. And he said, I'm here to beat you for 40 stripes. He said, you shall not muzzle the ox that is treading out the grain. What do you think he's doing right now? He's treading out the grain. So you can have a grain offering for Yahuwah on Chag Shabbos. What do you mean you should not muzzle? You know, that's what you call muzzling an ox. How you say you cover his mouth? While he doing all the work, you covering his mouth. Can't eat nothing. You gotta fast all the way through because of Yobahan. I gotta fast because y'all condemned the guilty, or you acquitted the guilty and condemned the innocent. So now I gotta what? I gotta fast. And I gotta have a muzzle on my mouth, starving to death, while I tread out all this grain all the way to the 50th day. And you say, so you think that I'm going to be all nice and joyful and happy about that? Yes, wonderful and counsel. You know how it is. I gotta fast all the way through, and you thinking it's gonna be a wonderful thing, right? No, but these are all a part of it, right? This is Mostly Proverbs 30 and 12. These are those who are clean in their own eyes. That's what we believe, right? People say, but have not been washed of their filth. You haven't been washed from it. You say you haven't been washed from it. Because if you did, then you will understand it. Right, that word for wash is rakat. It means to wash away, to bathe. You say you haven't been washed, to lave, to get some soap. You got to lave it together. You got to wash yourself. To bathe self, to wash yourself in it. Why? Because it's a washing. This is a washing. Cleaning. Purifying. Why do you think he said, why is it a second pasuk? Because you're supposed to be moving ill out of your tent to get the tumor out of you and the tameh out of you. Then you got to bring it to the vestibule. Then you got to do it all over again. Why? So that one can understand it. Because you came out of Mizraim, but one has not been washed from your sins. And that's why Yahushua was here for 40 days. This is Proverbs chapter 30, verse 12. These are those who are clean in their own eyes, but have not been washed from their filth. That word for filth is suah. Suah. It means filth, excrement, dirt, dung, right? The doo-doo, the dirt, the pollution, the filthiness, the excrement. Just like you have a lamb, you ever had an animal, you had to clean them off. Right? You gotta wash all of them off. The very same thing when you start to understand it, because most people have never done it. You say you have a child, a baby, you gotta clean off everything. Why? Because you say you clean your own eye. I'm clean, and you be like, you missed the spot. You missed that spot. You missed that spot. Right? This is the book of Ezekiel, Ezekiel 45, 9 through 11. Thus says Yahuwah, Elohim. Thus says Yahuwah, Adani. Enough, O princes of Yasharal. He's like, O Nasi, Nagi, Sar of Yasharal. Put away violence. Because violence, why you say that? This is the book of Bereshith. This is the book of Genesis. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 1. Actually, book of Genesis, chapter 6, and verse 11. Verse 6 and 11. Now the earth was corrupt, Genesis 6 and 11, in Yahuwah's sight, and the earth was filled with violence. And Elohim saw the earth, and behold, it was corrupt. He's like, man, I saw this thing, and it's corrupt. For all flesh have corrupted their way on earth. He said, you corrupted your way, male and female, and child, and animal. And Elohim said to Nuach, I have determined to make an end of all flesh, for the earth is filled with violence through them. Right, going back to Yekaziel, Ezekiel chapter 45 and 9. Thus says Yahuwah Adoni, enough, O princes of Yasharal, put away violence and oppression and execute justice and righteousness. Cease your evictions of my people. He says, cease, stop. When you evict somebody, you know what you do. He said, man, you ever been evicted? You know what happened? You can't pay. How many people can pay their bill that Yahushua paid? Not one person can pay the bill that Yahushua paid. So you should be evicted too. Everybody should have eviction notices on their house. And matter of fact, you should have eviction notices and you should be on the street. And matter of fact, you should be in the field somewhere sitting down because you ain't got no place to stay. Just like an animal in the field, like Nebuchadnezzar. Eating grass like an ox. Because that's what you should be doing. But guess what? Cease your convictions of my people, declares Yahuwah. Ye shall have Sadiq balances and Sadiq ephah and Sadiq bath. You shall have it. The ephah and the bath shall be of the same measure, and the bath containing 1/10 of an omer, and an ephah 1/10 of an omer, and the omer shall be the standard measure. So what is all this about? Right, measurements is a part of this whole thing. Right, so that word for you shall have just balances in mazon. is mazon. It means scales. Scales and balances, right? You got to have just scales and just balances. Why? Because Satan, Shaitan, wants you to be off balance. That's why women have hormones all in during their time, and they move all their cycles all over the place when they're in a menstrual cycle or they have pregnancy. And when you don't have just balances, you end up doing things erratic, and then Satan take over your mind, and then now you've become erratic in your behavior, and you forgot who Sarah is, Kawua is, Rebecca is. You forgot who all these people are. You forgot who Abigail is. You forgot all the people in the Torah, and now you say you forgot who Yehudiath is. You forgot all this stuff now because he got you all balanced. So you got to be Sadiq balances, or you're going to be violent. You're going to be a violent individual. The only reason you became a violent individual is because of what? Because of your imbalances. You're not balanced. Both human and divine being in the flesh. You have to be balanced. And it says that word, so you add mazon up, that meme is 40, aleph is 1, zon is 7, and noon is 50, which equals to 98, which equals to 8. Why? Because Yahuwah equals to 8. The bar equals to 8. All these things equal to 8. Yehudi equals to 8. All these are a part of it. Even your circumcision. Even Yahushua was circumcised on the 21st day of the first month. On the last day of Chag Shabuah. Or Chag Matzah. Why? Because these are all a part of your circumcision of the heart. Isha. And when you lose that, you say you got 50 days. How you say you got 50 days to maintain it? Matter of fact, there is even another Pesach. Because a lot of people have screwed up, right? So that word for Ephah is Tzedakah, right? That word for Ephah, it says you should have just Ephah. That word for Ephah is Ephah, right? It means dry measure, right? 10 of Omer, the same measure. A bath, right? The same thing we just talked about. It has to be a measure of it. That's why Yahushua was here for 40 days. He didn't go over 40. Because he didn't want to beat you over 40 days, over 40 stripes. Because these are all a part of it. It means what? Receptacle, measure of holding. And Ephah, hence, measure in general. Right? All this is all part of it. He says, so why is this important? You got to have just bath. That word for bath is bath. It's ba'ith and two. And you think about bath is what? A liquid measure. That's why it says there's a generation that is clean in their own eyes. He said, one going to immerse you in the rakats, in the Ruach Kadash. Why? Because you need a measure of bath. That's why you count 50 days of this bath that you're getting. But guess what? It means a unit of measure equal to dry measure, ephah, to give a size of 1/2 amount, a bar, a division of liquids. It's a division of liquids, right? Look at ba'ith is 2, the 2 is 400, equals to 402, which is the 6th letter of the aleph, which means secure, peg, joined to. That's why you need to be joined to a bar every single day. You know, some people don't like to take baths. Some people don't like to clean themselves. That's why it ever comes to their mother ain't teaching the Isha how to clean their body when they were young. The same thing when their father ain't teach them how to clean their body when they were young. So therefore, one doesn't know how to clean. But these are all a part of it, right? You say, so why is this important? Because everything happens for a reason. Nothing just happens, right? Nothing just happens, right? So this is the wisdom of Solomon. Nothing just happens, right? Nothing just happens, right? So this is the wisdom of Solomon. This is the wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, 11 through 19. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, 11 through 19. For whoso despiseth Hakmah and wisdom and nurture, he is miserable. Why? That's why he talks about Adam. We talk about Adam. Barak is Adam who walketh not in the counsel of the wicked. Why? Because you walk in the counsel of the wicked. Why would I walk in the counsel of a man who fornicates and sleeps around and calls himself a Torah teacher and got babies out of wedlock, trying to teach me, trying to tell you to give you counsel? Why would you follow the counsel of a person who walks in jealousy and envy and counsels you to be with a whore and then slander you for 8 years? Why would you follow in the counsel of a man who swindles and extorts the poor and the needy and lies on people and slanders people and destroys their name and give false accusation and go against everything the Torah says? Why would you follow the counsel of the wicked? Why would you follow the counsel of a wicked Isha or a wicked child? Why would you follow the counsel of a man who sleeps with another man's wife and takes it from somebody else, and then they try to give you counsel on your life and what you should do? Why would you follow the counsel of the wicked? It makes no sense at all. Why would you follow the counsel of a woman who disobeys her husband, who hates her husband, who goes online and slander him and gossip and lie on him when she herself is wicked just like him? Because the two shall become one. Why would you even follow their counsel and even listen to their advice on their life when she can't even maintain a household? It makes no sense at all. But guess what? Everybody has counsel though. And guess what? It ain't gonna be no Barak for you. It ain't. You be like, man, there's a generation that's wise in their own eyes. As a matter of fact, there's a generation that's actually rakats, that's actually clean in their own eyes. But in actuality, they're not. Right, so this is Wisdom of Solomon 3, 11 through 19. For whoso despises wisdom and nurture, he is miserable, and their hope is in vain. Their labor is unfruitful, and their works unprofitable. Why? Because you despise wisdom and nurture. How many people have despised wisdom and nurture? Everybody on earth. That's why he said the whole earth is full of violence. The only person who did not despise wisdom and nurture was Yahushua Mashiach from his father. Everybody else has despised it at least 1 or 2 or 10 times in their life. But guess what? Their wives are foolish. Why do you think they say Yahushua was despised and rejected by men? Because he was that wisdom and nurture that was in the world. He was the person that was despised. They despised wisdom and nurture, just like they did right now. 40 days, and you got a second Pesach. You got a second Pesach, and they're going to despise him again for 40 days. He says, their wives are foolish and their children wicked. That's why he said you can't love mother, father, sister, brother, wife, children. You can't love any of these things. Now you got to hate even your own life. Their wives are foolish and their children wicked. Their offspring is cursed. And all these curses are going to come upon you. Take care, lest there a man or a woman who says in their heart they're going to go and worship other gods. Their offspring is cursed. Wherefore, Barak is the barren that is undefiled. He's like, Barak is the woman who undefiled. Why? Which have not known the sinful bed. Why? So she never had intercourse outside of wedlock, or how you say, has not committed adultery. Because some people have committed adultery with Yahuwah already in the spiritual reality. And guess what? She shall have fruit in the visitation of souls. She's going to have fruit. Why? Because everybody, look at this world today. How many people know the sinful bed? How many children born out of wedlock? In order for a child to really appreciate the actual transformation of the Torah and Yahushua's Khan and grace on their life, they have to acknowledge that they were born from a sinful bed. Because in Yasharal, those things would have never been established. Matter of fact, they would have never even been in Yasharal. But at the same time, they have to acknowledge that they came from a sinful bed. And guess what? And Barak is the eunuch which with his hands have wrought no iniquity. Why? Because your yod and your kaf can create iniquity. Nor imagine wicked things against Yahuwah. How many people have done that? For unto him shall be given a special gift of Amunah. He said a special gift. What do you think this 40 days is for? Why do you think he tells you to abstain from sexual pleasure and all these things and follow Yahushua everywhere he goes? Why do you think he's telling you to do that? He's literally trying to give you a special type of Amunah, an Amunah that allows you to slay giants, an Amunah that allows you to endure anything and all things, an Amunah that will have you believe that doesn't waver, and an inheritance in the temple of Yahuwah, An inheritance in the temple of Yahuwah, more acceptable to his mind. What do you mean more acceptable? Habal's offering was acceptable. He say more acceptable. What do you mean? It says, for glorious, or Aydah is the fruit of good labors. What do you think Yahushua doing for 40 days? And the root of wisdom, Hakmah, shall never fall away. It's never going to fall off. It'll always have its leaves. And it'll always bear fruit. Just like we read in Psalms 1, chapter 1. He's going to be planted by streams of water. And his fruit shall bear in its season, in every season. And guess what? As for the children of adulterers, these are children born through sin. They shall not come to their perfection. Why? They're not going to come and hear the truth to be washed from their sins. There's a generation who's clean in their own eyes, but have not been rakats from their filth. They don't have just Bob. They're thinking that they are true, even though they're adulterers. They do. And the seed of an unrighteous bed shall be rooted out. He said it's going to be rooted out. Why? Because until one understands it, he said it's going to be rooted out, right? So the book of Jeremiah, chapter 6, Jeremiah chapter 6 and verse 1. Jeremiah chapter 6 and verse Jeremiah chapter 6 and verse 10. Jeremiah chapter 6 and verse 10. To whom shall I speak and give warning, that they may hear? Behold, their ears are uncircumcised. Say what? Your ear is uncircumcised. You know why you got something covering your ear? Because I don't want to hear this. They cannot listen. They can't. Behold, the word of Yahuwah is for them an object of scorn. They cast it away. They take no pleasure in it. They have no pleasure in it. Therefore, I am full of the wrath of Yahuwah. I am weary of holding it in. He's weary. Pour out it upon the children in the street, and upon the gathering of the young men also. Why? Because the children, he said, they're going to be rooted out. The children of the adulterous bed. He said they're going to be rooted out. Both husband and wife shall be taken, and the elder and the very aged. And that's why he tells you, he that follow me must hate mother, father, sister, brother. You got to hate even your own life. Their houses shall be turned over to others, their fields and wives together. I will stretch out my hand against the inhabitants of the land, declares Yahuwah, from the least to the greatest of them. Everyone is greedy of unjust gain. The Nabi and the priest and everyone deals falsely. They have healed the wound of my people lightly, saying shalom, shalom, when there is no peace. There is a generation who's clean in their own eyes, but has not been rakats from their filth. There ain't no peace. Were they ashamed when they committed abominations? Nope. That's why Yahushua was here for 40 days. We said, why were Yahushua here for 40 days? What do you think they were doing? No, they were not ashamed at all. They did not know how to blush. They didn't know how to blush. Therefore, they shall fall among those who fall. At the time that I punish them, they shall be overthrown, says Yahuwah. Thus says Yahuwah, stand on the roads and look and ask for the ancient paths, where is the good way is, and walk in it, and you will find rest for your souls. So why is this important? Because everything he did was for a reason. Everything he did was for a reason, right? Going to Jeremiah chapter 3, Jeremiah chapter 3, Jeremiah chapter 3, slide 14. Jeremiah chapter 3 in verse 1. Jeremiah chapter 3 in verse 1. If a man divorces his wife and she goes from him and becomes another man's wife, will he return to her? No, because it would be an abomination to Yahuwah for her to come back to the husband she had at first. According to the Torah, the law. Would not the land be greatly polluted? You have played the whore with many lovers. And will you return to me, declares Yahuwah? According to the Torah, you can't do that. Lift up your eyes in the bare heights and see where you have not been ravished. By the wayside, you have sat awaiting your lovers. He said, you've been sitting down, posted up, waiting for your lovers to come by. You know how they post Amazing they call them posts on Instagram, posts on Facebook, posts. Ain't that what they do? And guess what? He said, how long you been waiting? A long time. But you've got all them idols. Live like Aydah in the wilderness. You have polluted the land with your vile whoredom. Why did he say that? Therefore, the showers have been withheld. You know what we get right now? The spring rains. You know, the spring rains we get going all the way towards the 50th day. So you can have the grain. Thou shalt not muzzle the ox that treadeth out the grain. But he said, the spring rains have been withheld. Why? Because you ain't following Yahushua Mashiach. If you don't follow Yahushua Mashiach, the spring rains is going to be withheld from you. And the spring rain has not come. It don't matter if you put the rain out. People still ain't going to soak it in. Because it's something of scorn to them. It don't even matter. I could put out 1,000 things. And guess what? People still ain't going to soak it in. Because you know why? Because it's a scorn to them. They cast it away. He says, the spring rains haven't come. Yet you have a forehead of a whore. A zanah. And you refuse to be ashamed. He's like, you come from an unrighteous, you got an unrighteous bed. You know the type of child you're going to create on the inside of you? Have you not just now called me my father? You are the friend of my youth. Will he be angry forever? Will he be indignant to the end? Behold, you have spoken, but you have done all the evil that you could. He said, you're doing it everything. So why is it important? Going to verse 11. And Yahuwah said to me, faithless Yasharal, going to verse 7. Actually, verse 6. And Yahuwah said to me, in the days of King Josiah, have you seen what she did? That faithless one, Yasharal, how she went on every high hill and under every green tree, and there played the harlot, the whore, the zanah. And I thought after she had done all this, she would return to me. But she did not return, and her treacherous sister Yehuda saw it. And she saw that all her adulteries of the faithless one, O Yasharal, I have sent her away with the decree of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister Yehuda did not fear. But she too went and played the whore, because she took her whoredom lightly, and she polluted the land and committed adultery with stone and tree. Yet for all this, her treacherous sister Yehuda did not return to me, you worshiping idols. You went after another Elohim. It's like a woman goes after another man in a marriage. He's like, look at this, what this person did. And I divorced this person. And this person still kept on going. And guess what? And with her whole heart, but not with her whole, he says, yet for all this, her treacherous sister Yehuda did not return to me, and with her whole heart. But in pretense, declared Yahuwah, Yahuwah said to me, faithless Yasharal has shown herself more righteous than treacherous Yehuda. Going back to Wisdom of Solomon. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3. Hakmah of Solomon, chapter 3, and verse 16. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 16. As for the children of adulterers, they shall not come to their perfection. And the seed of an unrighteous bed shall be rooted out. You have to see, these are the things you got to acknowledge. He said, you refuse to be ashamed, huh? You have to acknowledge. For though they live long, yet they be nothing regarded, and their last age shall be without honor. Or if they die quickly, they have no hope, neither comfort in the day of trial. Now you see why he said you're going to get a special type of Amunah. What's going to comfort you in the day of your trials? Amunah, faith. Bina Hamada'ath, your ark, your Arun, your Kaparoth with the Aydah inside of it. But if you die without Yahushua Mashiach, you got no hope. Arise, O Yahuwah, and let your enemies be scattered. That won't be you. And guess what? Verse 9. For horrible is the end of an unrighteous generation. There's a generation that's cleaning their own eyes, but have not been washed or rakats from their filth. Right? And these are all a part of it. Right? Going back to the slide, it says, you shall have just balances, or Sadiq balances, Sadiq Ephah, Sadiq Ba. That word for Ba, because you know Ba is Baith is 2 is 400. We use the 402, we use the 6. You have to be joined to it. And this is all a part of it, right? So, verse 11, it says, the ephah and the bath shall be of the same measure, The bath containing 1/10 of an omer, the ephah 1/10 of an omer, and the homer shall be the standard measure, right? The standard measure. That word for measure is ma'ath kana. Yeah. Ma'ath kana. It means measured portion. This is key. Bricks. Of bricks. It also means measured portion, composition, number of ingredients. Matakana, right? That word for matakana, you add it up. It goes, meme is 40, the 2 is 400, the kaf is 20, the noon is 50, and the 2 is 400. We use the 910, right? Amazingly, what do you see here? 91. How many days in this 3-month period going towards Kag Shabuah, right? It's 3 months. It's 91 days, right? In this 3-month measure of time. It's 91 days in this 3-month measure of time. And amazingly, you got what? 10 equals to 10. You add 9 plus 1 equals to 10 equals to 1, right? It's only the standard measure. It's only one of them. He's like, what do you mean? He said there's only one measure. He's like, there's a standard measure for it. It's a 10th of an omer. It's a 10th, right? But this is all a part of it, right? So that word for omer is komer. Komer. He said you should have what? Containing 1/10 of a omer or ephah, or 1/10 of a omer, komer, right? It means clay. It means surging of water, right? Swelling. It's a part of it. Cement. What do you use cement for? To build something. You use bricks to build something. What do you think you're doing now? You're building something, right? It means bubbling up, water wave. A bubbling up, that is water wave of earth, mirror and clay. A heap, a measure. And you do what? You're building something. You're laying a foundation for a house is laid with cement on the ground. And by using that cement, what happens? You build on top of it. You build on top of it. That's what this is about. Why do you think Yahushua was here for 40 days? He's building on top of what he was doing. He already rose 23 days. He already done rose from the grave from now till now. He's building something. And if you don't pay attention, he's like, you ain't going to be able to build it. He said, nah, this is something of scorn. It doesn't really mean anything. It just really doesn't matter. You know how they say, it doesn't matter. I don't need this. He's risen from the grave, right? That's what they will say. But in actuality, that's not the case. Right? So that word, you got Komer up, you got Koth, which equals to 8. The Meme equals to 40, the Rosh equals to 200. Amazingly, Koth equals what? Work, labor, ladder. Also means, Meme means water. Rosh means chief. But that, what? You add it up, it's 240. What is it? 240. 248. I think that's right. Yeah, 248. 248. 4 plus 2 is 6. What's that equal to? What's that equal to? What is it? Yeah, 14 equals to 5, right? There we go. And what's the 5th letter of the alphabet? Right? Ha. Behold, light revealed. Right? Illumination. Right? What is this all a part of it? Right? And go to Job chapter 12, 7 through 12. Job chapter 12, 7 through 12. This is all a part of it, right? It says, but ask the beasts and they will teach you. And the birds of the Shamayim, and they will tell you. He said, don't you hear birds right now? A whole bunch of birds, right? Shamayim, and they will tell you. Or the bushes of the earth, and they will teach you. In a lot of bushes outside, all the leaves and came back, right? There's a whole bunch of bushes. And the fish of the sea, they will declare to you. They're going, what? You go by the ocean, it's dolphin, everything jumping out of the water, right? Who among these does not know that the hand of Yahuwah has done this? The yard of Yahuwah has done this. In his hand is the life of everything, and the breath of all mankind. Does not the ear test the word as the palate tastes the food? Wisdom is with the age, and understanding with length of days, right? He said, does not the ear test the word as the palate tastes the food? That word for ear is ozen. Ozen. It means ear, part of the body, broadness, ear. But he said, you turn the stubborn ear. We read that in Jeremiah in chapter 6. He said, they turned the stubborn ear, attentive. Revelation, hearing, advertise, and audience. Right? Ozen, right? It starts with an aleph. You add the aleph was 1, the zon is 7, the noon is 50, was the 58, which equals the 13. He said the ear, right? He said, what you mean your ear? He said, yeah, we talking about your ear. He said, your ear equals even 13. Now you see why Yahushua was here for 40 days. They had to hear him, and he had to tell them about many infallible proofs for 40 days. And then he was too he was rebuking them and beating them with stripes. Not over 40 though, because he had to stay here for a certain period of time. And if it was like a scorn to them, then they will not, produce the fruits that they need, and they'll be rooted out just like an adulterous woman. But it says, does not the ear test? That word for test is bakan. It means to examine. The ozen bakan. It examines it to prove, to be tried, to test, to examine, to prove. It proves the words. The word is milah. It proves the speech, the utterance, the word, the discourse, the byword, the words, right? The speaking word, right? The milah. He says, does not the ear test the words or the milah as the palate or the cake? The mouth, that word for palate, it means cake or cake, literally cake. It means mouth, palate, taste, gums, sense of tasting. Sense of tasting. What did he give them in the wilderness? Man. He gave them manna. He gave them manna. Taste, it also means kissing. Taste and kissing, organ of speech, the mouth. He said, does not the ear test the word as the palate tastes the food, as the cake tastes the food, right? All that's a part of it, right? Root of the mouth, roof of the mouth, taste, right? All that's a part of it, right? That word for, that was cake, but it says the word for taste is ta'am. It means to taste, to perceive, to eat, to perceive with the senses, right? Because you got to put something in your ear in order to taste it. If you had turned the stubborn ear, that means uncircumcised. Now you see why he said, why he make us circumcised, the foreskin of our flesh? Because it's all a part of certain things. People don't understand it. There's a reason why a lot of these things take place, because ear tasting to the bar, when you're eating something, it's like a type of intercourse. It enters inside of you, and then you have to perceive what it tastes like. What is it? Is it good or is it not good? It's just like intercourse. This is why you can't eat from every tree of the garden. And people think you eat from it by clicking on a button and hitting the button, or you do certain things and it's what you hear. That's what is eating from the trees of the garden. What you hear, it goes in your mind and you can remember it. That's why you can remember old songs from like when you were young. That's why you can remember old sayings or old slogans from a long time ago, because it goes into your mind and then it becomes a part of you. And these are all the things that one has to be washed from, rakats. You can't say you know him when you still have old sayings and things in your thought process, in your old life. Because your old life is death. It represents a life that's dead, and it brings you to death. Right? So that word for food is akal. Akal. It means food, meat, meal. You know how to say food. That's what it means. Cereal. It's things you put in your mouth. Food. They have cereal commercials. You still remember them. They got food commercials. You still remember them. They put it in there. Dinner. Because your God is your belly. And so they know that. So they put these in your ear. Your God is your belly. We know you love your belly and you know you love to feed it. So therefore we feed your ear with things that you want to hear to feed your belly. And then you feed your belly with it. And then guess what happens? I'm your God. You'll serve me. You'll pay for me. Doesn't matter how much the price is. $10 for something. Man, it was $3 last year. It's $10 this year. Just like a drug dealer. Well, it price don't went up. Because it's in your ear. You taste it and now you need it. So now you pay for it. Then you go broke. And guess what? Pray. It means food, eating. Right? That's what people did. Food, eating, right? Eating destroyed the world. People say, yeah. People have eating food destroyed the world. That's the whole point of it. Right, this is Bereshit 2, 15 through 17. Yahuwah Elohim took the man and put him in the garden of Eden to work it and keep it. And Yahuwah Elohim commanded the man, saying, you may eat surely a call or eat of every tree of the garden. That means you can hear it, eat it, and then what? Taste it, perceive it, and then what? But of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you shall not eat of it, a call. Now you see why Yahushua was here for 40 days. Because he was the tree that Adam could eat from. And he was here for 40 days to make sure you understand the type of tree you need to be eating from. For in the day you eat of it, you shall surely die. I'm trying to keep you alive. But if you hear something and you taste it and you eat it with your ear, your ozen, which equals a 13, right? That's Yahushua's name equals a 13, and guess what happened? I'm going to go eat another 13 guy. There's a whole bunch of other ones out here. You say, yeah, it is. You know why they don't know? Because they're ignorant. They ain't never seen nothing. They never did anything. They never went anywhere. And they ain't seen the other gods that use the same number. And they take it in their ear and they be thinking it's the same thing. And next you know, boom, you're out of here. Because they know if you put that same intellect next to the ark that you already have inside of you, it's going to create plagues inside of you. And those same sicknesses and diseases that they plagued the other places when they took the ark, you know, the ark that they carried, and they would cast it out, it's going to be you. And then you have all diseases that was on Mizraim, they're going to have it on you. Because you heard it, you ate it, you tasted it, and now it's inside of you. Because they know. This book of Ezra, chapter 3, 8 through 13. Now, in the second year after they're coming out of the house, it says, now in the second year after they're coming to the house of Elohim at Jerusalem in the second month. What month this is? This is the second month. Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, and Jeshua, the son of Josadak, Yeshua, that's what it says, the son of Josadak, made a beginning, together with the rest of their kinsmen, the priests and the Levites, and all who had come to Jerusalem from captivity. They appointed the Louis from 20 years old and upward. And then we talked about this last week. We talked about from 20 years old and upward, Messiah gave his census for the fathers and the sons to supervise the work of the house of Yahuwah. So how you build a house? With cement, with water, mixing it together, a measure, a tenth. And what do? And Yeshua, or Jeshua, with his sons and his brothers, and Camiel and his sons, the sons of Yehuda, together supervised the workmen in the house of Elohim, along with the sons of Henadad and the Levites, their sons and brothers. All at the same time. So what's the guy doing anything? Right? So that word for Jeshua is Yeshua, right? But this ain't got no ha at the end of it. It don't got a ha at the end. It don't have a feminine nature at the end. That's why you saw sons, brothers. You saw those things. You see those attributes from 20 years old and upward. But you know why people ain't gonna see that? Because they don't know, right? Because you got to see it. It's on the end. Because I don't see no ha at the end of this one. Why? Because it's, you know why ain't no one at the end? Because it was talking about sons and his brothers. But it says right here, that word for Joshua, it means his name means, Yeshua means his name means he is saved. He is saved. And amazingly, what were they getting ready to do? They were getting ready to build for the work of the house. It says he will save. That's what it means also. He will save. Right, so you look at that word, you got Yod equals to 10, the Shan equals to 300, the Wu equals to 6, the Ayin equals to 70, which equals to 17, which equals to 8. Right? Because all that's a part of it. Because you know, Hu equals to 8, Mazon equals to 8, but all this is a part of it. What that equal to? Because I ain't at the... I can with Ash. Yeah, he was a 386. He says, what is it? 386. Just making sure. Yeah, he was a 17, he was the 8. Right? All that's a part of it. But he says his name meant he is saved or he will save. But why, how's he going to save, right? So this is the book of Ezra 3:8. Book of Ezra, continuing on, book of Ezra chapter 3, 10 through 12. And when the builders laid the foundation, right? So the foundation. How you build a foundation? They laid the foundation with brick, with cement, just Ephah, just Bath, just Mazon. Right? You got to have these things. You have to lay the foundation of the temple of Yahuwah. The priests in their vestments came forward with trumpets, and the Levites and the sons of Asaph with their cymbals to praise Yahuwah. Why? What we read in the 2 Chronicles chapter 30? He said when they had the second Passat, what did they do? They praised Yahuwah with all their might when they realized there is a second Passat and a second chance. And guess what? According to the direction of Dawid, the king of Yasharal, right? The king of Yasharal, right? You think it was Dawid? I will have, go in the book of Ephesians, chapter 5. Ephesians chapter 5. Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 20. Actually, Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22. It says, wives, Nashim, Isha, submit, Shifkas. Submit to your own husbands as to the master. For the husband is head of the wife, even as Mashiach is head of the congregation, the body. His body. And himself is its savior. Or you mean he will save. Why do you think they were building the house and his name was Yeshua? He is saved, or he will save. He is savior of the body. Now as Mashiach as the body submits to Mashiach, so also wives should submit in everything to their husbands. Why? Because that's all a part of it. Going back to Ezra chapter 3, 8, Ezra chapter 3, 10 through 12. And when the builders laid the foundation of the temple of Yahuwah, the priests and their vestments came forward with trumpets, and the Levites and the sons of Asaph and their cymbals to praise Yahuwah according to the direction of Dawid, the king of Yasharal, and they sang responsively, praising and giving thanks to Yahuwah, for he is good. And then what we read in 2 Chronicles, may the good Yahuwah pardon you or kafar you, because you didn't keep it according to the sanctuary and the purification of it, according to the first day all the way to the 16th day. And then you despise it, and it's scorned now because now you're saying, I got to do another second Pesach. These are all a part of the things that Yahushua was talking about. It's now scorned. You cast it away because you can't go with him and follow him for 40 days. For his steadfast love endures toward Yasharal, because he kafared for you. And guess what? And all the people shouted with a great shout. They praised Yahuwah with all their might. and praised Yahuwah because the foundation of the house of Yahuwah was laid in the second month. Why do you think Yahushua was here? He said he appeared to them in 40 days with many proofs. And he was trying to show them that the foundation was laid. But many of the Kohanim and the Levites and the heads and the fathers, old men who had seen the first house, wept with a loud voice when they saw the foundation of this house being laid. Though many shouted aloud for joy, so that the people could not distinguish between the sound of the joyful shout from the sound of the people weeping. Why? Because when Yahushua cried out in totality, he split the temple in two. Who you think the ones that are weeping? It was my house. I remember when we used to go in there and we used to offer our animals and kill them and get the meat and all that stuff we used to do. And he caused so much destruction. And then this thing of building the foundation again, and they're joyful, but we're thinking about the other one that happened about 23 days ago when Yahushua cried out, and we put him in the grave though. And for some reason they talking about this second house and they're talking about this second building, and no. But the other people are joyful because they ain't looking at how you look. You know why? Because they're not looking at it according to your carnal self and your carnal house and your carnal things that you have. They're looking at it according to the Ruach. Of this house being laid, though many shouted for joy, right? So you say, do you believe in Yahushua Mashiach or not? He says, so that the people could not distinguish between the sound of joyful shouts and the sound of the people weeping. For the people shouted with a great shout, and the sound was heard far away. He's like, man, everything was heard all the way across the whole thing. Right, so that word for responsibly, they saying responsibly is anah. Why would he put the same word for humble for singing responsibly? Anah. Because it means to answer, to testify, to speak, to shout, respond as a witness. A witness to what? To sing utter tunefully. Why? With all their might. What do you think Yahushua doing in the second month? Why do you think it's the second Pesach? They sung with all their might because they were humble. They were humble, and no. They were humble to dwell. It means also to pay attention. They paid attention. They ain't turned a stubborn ear to it. You know how they say, turn my stubborn ear. No, to sing aloud, to testify, to announce, to sing, to bring low. That's what he's going to save a humble people. He's going to save a non-people. He said, right, this is the book of Deuteronomy. This is the book of Deuteronomy, Dabarim. Right, this is the book of Dabarim, chapter 8, and verse 15. Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 8, and verse 15. Dabarim, chapter 8, and verse 11. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 11. Take care lest you forget Yahuwah, your Elohim, by not keeping his commandments and his rules and his statutes, which I command you today. Did they do it? No. In the first Pesach? No, they did not. Lest you, when you eaten and are full and have built good houses and live in them. And then what they did, we remember the first house. And what happened? And when your herds and your flocks multiply, and your silver and gold be multiplied, and all that you have is multiplied, then your heart be lifted up, and you forget Yahuwah, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim, out of the house of slavery. How do Yahushua bring us up? By his sacrifice. And he tore the temple in two, and he tore that thing down. You know why? Because they forgot Yahuwah Elohim. So therefore, he destroyed it. And guess what? Who led you through the great terrifying wilderness. And fiery serpents and scorpions and thirsty ground where there was no water. And then we just read that. He said the moist and the dry alike. Who brought you water out of the flinty rock, who fed you in the wilderness with manna, that your fathers did not know, that he might humble you and test you, to do you good in the end. Beware lest you say in your heart, my power and my might and my hand have gotten me this well. So you built that house, you built this house. You know, they say, I built this house. You ain't built this house. This foundation that's been laid, he said, you ain't built this one. You may have built your natural house, but he said, you ain't built this one. Beware lest you say in your heart, my power and my might have got me this wealth, and you shall remember Yahuwah your Elohim. It is he who gives you power to get wealth, that he may confirm his covenant and swear to your fathers as it is this day. And if you forget Yahuwah your Elohim and go after other gods and serve them and worship them, I solemnly warn you today that you shall surely perish. Right, so that word, going back to the slide, and they saying responsively, that word is anah, anua. That word for humble in that verse is anah. The same word, that you may humble you. Why is he doing that? That you may see it. That you may see it. Right, you're going to, but it says right here, he said, but many of the priests and the Levites, heads of their fathers, this is verse 12 of that same book, old men who had seen the first house, right? Because you got the first house, that's the one Yahushua tore down. We seen that first house. They seen it. Wept aloud with a loud voice. They seen the first house. And when they saw the foundation being laid, though many shouted aloud for joy, because everybody didn't shout aloud for joy, because it's the foundation of a new house, another house being laid. That word for foundation is yasad. Yasad. This foundation is different, right? Its foundation is different. It's like the ninth letter of the Sephiroth, ninth Sephiroth. And guess what? Yasad, it means to be found, to fix, to establish, to lay foundation, to be found, to establish, to close together, to be founded, to be established, appointed, ordained, to settle. All this is taking place. He said this foundation is different. That house, that first house, man, that thing, we seen that one, but this one, he said everybody wasn't shouting for joy. He said some people were weeping. Wow. This is Ukinan chapter 2, 13 through 22. The Pesach of the Yahudim was at hand. Isn't there another Pesach like 4 days from now? 5 days from now? It was at hand. And Yahushua went to Jerusalem. Man, he went to Jerusalem. Man, you know what? Man, let me go there. And in the temple, he found those who were selling oxen. Okay. They were selling oxen, sheep, pigeons, and the money changers were sitting there. Everybody was exchanging money inside of the temple. You know that temple we were talking about? They were inside of there. They were in there. And making a whip of cords, what did he do? He drove them out of the temple with the sheep and the oxen. He drove the human beings and the animals out of the temple. So he don't want nobody in there. I don't want no human being in there, and I don't want no animals in this temple. So I don't know why you got it in there and you selling. I don't want no exchanging going on. I don't want no people in there with selling no animals inside of it. I don't even want the animals in there. And he poured out all the coins of money changers and overturned the tables. He literally overturned the tables of money, threw out all the animals and the people inside the temple. And guess what? And he poured out all the coins of money changers and overturned the tables. And he told those who sold the pigeons, what? Take these things away. He said, man, get this stuff out my house. And guess what? And he told those who sold the pigeons, take these things away. Do not make my father's house a house of trade. You mean of unjust gain. Because the whole earth was filled with violence because of them. It is. And amazingly, the same way they sell the animals for money and exchange it is the same way they did human beings when it came to slaves. Right? And they did the same thing they did to the animals, they did the same thing to people. Then they slew the people the same way they did the animals that they was consuming and destroying on earth. And the whole earth was filled with violence because of them. Because just like the people who you brought in slavery and you killed their mother and their father, and their children didn't forget you, the same way the animals, you killed their mother and their father, and their children didn't forget you either. And it goes down ancestrally. Every child that's born, them animals remember what you did. The same way human beings remember what you did. But for some reason, he said, ask the beasts and they're going to tell you. Ask the birds and they're going to tell you. That the hand of Yahuwah did all this. So what is he doing right here? He took whips and cords. He said, take these things away. Do not make my father's house a house of trade. His disciples remembered that it was written, the zeal of your house will consume me. He's like, man, we remember that thing, the zeal of your house consume you, right? So the Yahudim said to him, what sign do you show us for doing these things? He said, what you going to show us? Yahushua answered them, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up. And that was 23 days ago. He destroyed it. You know, that old life, you know, the old life used to do? That old life, he destroyed that stuff on the third day. He made a whole new temple. He laid the foundation. But are you weeping or are you joyful that he made this new foundation? I don't know. Are you joyful that he made this new foundation? He built this new house? It was like 23 days ago that he rose from the grave. Or are you weeping still because you don't believe? Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up. I'm going to raise it up. Then the Yahudim said, it has taken 46 years to build this temple. And when you raise it up in 3 days, how long does it take for a small tender plant when you put a seedling into a seed pot? How long does it take for the seed to come up? He said, you're going to raise it up in 3 days? But he was speaking of the temple of his body. But guess what he didn't want in his body? He didn't want people selling sheep, oxen, pigeons, money changers sitting there. He didn't want them into his temple. He didn't want animals and people in his temple like that, doing that, inside of it. He didn't want him in his temple. I didn't want it in there. There's a reason why he did this. And when therefore he was raised from the dead, his disciples remembered that he had said, and they believed what he had said, that he had said this, and they believed the scripture and the word that he had spoken, right? So this is the book of Psalms of Solomon, Pseudepigrapha, Volume 2. Psalms of Solomon, Pseudepigrapha, Volume 2, Chapter 10, and verse 1. 10 verse 1. It says, happy is the man whom Yahuwah remembers with rebuking and protects from evil from the evil way with the whip. You know what Yahushua went in the temple? He beat him down with a whip. Matter of fact, he's here for 40 days to do the same thing. So what? He ain't gonna go over 40 though. He only gonna do it for 40 days. He gonna remember you with the whip to keep you from the evil way. Then when he gets to the end of 40 days, he be like, make sure you don't leave Jerusalem until you get the power. I'm trying to keep you in the way. I'm going to beat you with the whip. And guess what he said? He says, the one who prepares his back for the whip shall be purified. What do you think he was doing here for 40 days? What do you think he was doing? He ain't going to go over 40 though. He ain't going to make you hate him and be seen vile. He said, have I went over 40 right now? I only did about 5 or 10. So why do you look at me like I'm vile? Why do you look at me in hatred? According to the Torah, I ain't hit you over 40 times. So therefore, you should not look at me as somebody that's evil. Or you don't believe Torah then. That's both male and female. You should not look at, man, he beat me with the word about 10 times. He's like, so why are you looking at him with evil for? You should actually be grateful that he ain't a transgressor of the Torah. He beat me with the word 10 times, 5 times. He said 5 scriptures to me. Ah! And you look at the person as evil and raw, when in actuality, the person ain't evil. He ain't go over 40. It says, the one who prepares his back for the whip shall be purified. For Yahuwah is good to those who endure discipline. What do you think this 40 days is for? And guess what? For he will straighten the ways of the righteous. He said, I'm going to straighten you out. You know how parents go in there? What do you think Yahushua beating? I'm going to beat y'all behind. He beat everybody up. He beat the animals out, the pigeons, the sheep, the oxen. Because you shouldn't muzzle the ox who tread out the grain, but guess who the ox? And then he overturned all the money tables. All at the same time. And he says, for he will straighten the ways of the righteous. That's what you think this is. And will not bend them by discipline. He said, I ain't gonna be vile in your sight. I ain't gonna do that. I ain't gonna go over. And the mercy of Yahuwah is upon those who truly love him, those who receive it with joy. If you truly love him, and Yahuwah will remember his servants in mercy. For the testimony it is in the law, the eternal covenant. And the testimony of Yahuwah is the way of men and women in his supervision. He says, what was Yahushua doing here? This is Jeremiah chapter 7. Jeremiah chapter 7 and verse 1. Jeremiah chapter 7. He says, so what does this got to do with anything? Because Yahushua was doing something in the temple that he don't want in his temple anymore. And people think that he still wants it in there. He doesn't. All right, it's Jeremiah chapter 7 and verse 21. Jeremiah chapter 7 verse 21. Thus says Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Yasharal, add to your burnt offerings and your sacrifice and eat flesh. What do you think you're doing? Didn't I tell you not to do this in my temple? That's what he was doing right here. And he was doing it with a whip of cords. For in the day that I brought you out of the land of Mizraim, I did not speak to your fathers concerning burnt offerings and sacrifices. Did not tell you not to do that in my temple. And he remembered them with the whip. And amazing, we're going to the second Passat. So what do you think he's trying to get them to understand? In the second month. Didn't I tell you that? He straightened out the way of the righteous. Concerning the burnt offering sacrifice. But this I commanded, gave them, obey my voice, and I will be your Elohim, and you shall be my people. And walk in the way that I command you, that it may be well with you. But they did not obey or incline their ear. They turned their stubborn ear. They ozen, you know, that thing that equals to 13. They don't want to listen with that thing. But walked with their own counsels. Now you see, why would I walk in the counsel of the wicked? Why would you walk in the counsel of the wicked? It makes no sense. And the stubbornness of their evil hearts. Why would you walk in the counsel of the wicked? And went backwards and not forward. Why do you think everybody going back to Mizraim or going back to their old life? They purify themselves 25 days and they go right back to their sin. They go right back to their stubbornness. They go right back to eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. They go right back to fighting, quarreling, hatred, jealousy, envies, plots, schemes. They go right back. They go back. They don't want to go forward. You talking about 40 days, another Passat? Follow Yahushua? Keep going? Keep going forward? You mean continue to keep doing this? You mean continue to eat unleavened bread, kag matzah? Continue to eat his debar? Continue to eat the omer all the way to the 50th day? With joy and gladness? Continue to do it for 7 days? You mean another 7 days? Why should I do that? I have a life to live. The same thing in Mizraim, they had a life to live too. And then when they came out, how long they had to travel? They had a life to live too back there. But then guess what they did? They left it. They hate even their own life. Then some started to love their life again. They like, I want to go back to Mizraim. But they started to love their life again. They started to love the things that they had before. But guess what it said? But walked in their own counsel and the stubbornness of their evil heart and went backwards and not forward. That's why a lot of things can't give to you, like Barak. People say, I want to be fruitful and multiply and have this big old huge Barak in my life. Well, that's only forward. It's easy to go back. The Barak is forward. Your Barak is forward. And guess what? From that day that your fathers came out of the land of Mizraim to this day, I have persistently sent all my servants of Nabi'im to them day after day, every single day. Yet they did not listen to my voice or incline their ear. They turned their stubborn ear. Why do you think Yahushua was here for 40 days, day after day? But stiffened their neck. Still. They did worse than their fathers. So you think you're actually... So if you don't believe in your son Yahushua, and you don't get a ill out of your tent, and you don't keep the Pesach, the second Pesach, you're literally worse than your fathers. Because the fathers who killed Yahushua, when they killed him on the first Pesach, you know what happened after that? They were worse. They were evil. Why do you think Yahushua did the second Pesach on the 40 days he was here? Because the first one, they were evil. They were raw. They didn't understand Yahushua Mashiach. Why do you think they broke bread? Why do you think they were with each other? So you shall speak these words to them, but when they will not listen to you, you shall call them, but they will not answer you. He said, I already called. He said, man, you know there's a second Pesach. He said, there's a second one in between the sons. On the 13th day at evening on the second month, they're not going to listen to you. Oh no, you shall say to them, this is the nation that did not obey the voice of Yahuwah, their Elohim, and did not accept his discipline. Because he remembered you with the whip. What do you think he's here for 40 days? They won't do it. Truth perish. It's going to perish inside of you. The Amah, he said, I don't want the truth to... Shamayim and earth will pass away, the bar will never pass away. It will inside of you. It is cut off from their lips. Now you see why does not the ear taste the word, does the mouth taste the food? Guess what he says in verse 29? Cut off your hair and cast it away. He said you shouldn't even have hair on your head if you don't want to do it. Because you have the forehead of a whore and you refuse to be ashamed. You have the forehead of a whore and you refuse to be ashamed. Because you don't want to follow Yahushua Mashiach. Raise a lamentation on the bare heights, for Yahuwah has rejected and forsaken the generation of his wrath. There is a generation that is clean in their own eyes, but have not been recast from their filth. Now you see why it's better to just be willingly do it, right? He said, so why he did that? Because he just did it right here. Didn't I tell you he took whips and cords and drove them out of the temple? He said, I don't want this in my temple anymore. I don't want it in there anymore. He said, so why he say that? This big Bereshit chapter 1, verse 26. Bereshit chapter 1, verse 26. Bereshit chapter 1, verse 27. So Elohim created Adam in his own image. In the image of Elohim, he created him. Male and female, he created them. Say what? And what he do? And Elohim baraked them, and Elohim said to them, be fruitful, multiply, and fill the earth, and subdue it. What do you think he's doing right here? He's subduing everything right now. And have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the Shamayim, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. Why do you think Yahushua in the temple with cords and whips? He's taking authority and dominion over the temple. He's taking authority and dominion over you. And Elohim said, behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of the earth, and every tree with its seed and its fruit, you shall have them for food. Why do you think he in the temple beating all the animals and the people out of the temple? Why do you think he in the temple beating all these people with cords and whips? And to every beast of the earth and every bird of the Shamayim and to everything that creeps on the earth, everything that has the breath of life, I have given every green plant for food. Why do you think he beating them out of the temple? Sheep, oxen, pigeons, everything. Whips and cords. And they were selling in it. And guess what? Everything that has a breath of life, I have given every green plant for food, and it was so. And Elohim saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And there was evening, there was morning, the sixth day. Shishiyun. He said, you know what? And amazingly, what do you think this is? He said, man, I got to get this thing ready for the Shabbat. Let me beat y'all out of the temple. Because the Pesach getting ready to come up. And I got to make sure I get y'all out of here. out of the temple. I'll beat you out. I beat it out of you with whips and cords. That's what he's doing. He remembering it with a whip. He said, didn't I tell you every herb yielding seed plant that bears seed for food is supposed to be your food? And the animals, didn't I tell you the animals? Didn't I tell you no animal sacrifices? Didn't I tell you in Psalm chapter 50? In verse 1, go to Psalm chapter 50. Tahalim, Psalm chapter 50. Psalm chapter 50. In verse 13. Actually, Psalm chapter 50, verse 12. Actually, go to verse 7. Psalm 50 and 7. Hear, O my people, and I will speak, O Yashral. I testify against you. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. Not for your sacrifice do I rebuke you. He said, I like certain things. And burnt offerings are continually before me. I will not accept a bull from your house, a goat from your folds. For every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle on 1,000 hills. I know all the birds of the hills, and all that moves in the field are mine. If I were hungry, I would not tell you, for the world is mine, world and its fullness are mine. Didn't I tell you some things? Right? And guess what? Offer to Elohim a sacrifice of thanksgiving. You mean praise, Aydah? And perform your vows to the Most High, Yahuwah. Actually, go in verse 12. If I were hungry, I wouldn't tell you, for the world is mine and its fullness are mine. Do I eat flesh, eat the flesh of bulls, and drink the blood of goats? And why do you think he went in the temple with whips and cords and beat them out of the temple? Offer to Elohim a sacrifice of thanksgiving and perform your vows to the Most High. And call upon me in the day of trouble, and I will deliver you, and you kabod me. But to the wicked he says, what right have you to recite my statutes? Didn't I tell you? And he whipped them out. Or take my covenant in your lips. What you doing? For you hate discipline. You hate the whip and the cord. You hate the whip and the cords. You hate me, the fact that I beat your oxen, all your meat, all your animal flesh out of the temple. And all the things that you do in the temple and all your selling and your gold and your silver. You upset that I'm telling you can't have it in your temple anymore. So you upset at me. And perform your vows to the Most High and call upon me in the day of trouble, and I will deliver you, and you shall kabod me. But to the wicked he says, what right have you to recite my statutes and take my covenant on your lips? For you hate discipline, and you cast my words behind you. If you see a thief, you are pleased with him. You know how it is. They love them thieves. That's why women love hood boys, right? They say hood man. They love them people. You know why? You pleased with them. You like when they steal. You like when they take things from people. You like when they give you some of it too. They don't want no righteous man. Right? That's why they have soul ties with a lot of people. Because all these are a part of it. But it says, you please them. You keep company with adulterers. You love them women that sleep around. You love them men that commit adultery. He said, you love them men. He said, you love them. You love to keep company with them. He said, man, I love to be in contact with them too. He said, you keep company with adulterers. He said, why? Because that's all a part of it. He said, it's the Iyul in your tent. He said, I love that. He said, I love that person. I love that woman. I love that man. I hang out, I have dinner with them. Man, I pat them on the back even after they did it. He said, man, you don't love me. Who should love you if you don't hate your mother, father, brother, sister, child, your pastor, your teacher, your mores. You can't hate any of these people. Anyway, they commit these things. He said, man, you can't be Yahusha disciple, your priest, your high kahan. Man, you can't be Yahusha disciple. My best friend, man, Yahusha said you can't be his disciple, man. You can't. He said you plead with adulterers. You talking about the seed they're gonna be cut off? Idol worshipers. You give your mouth free rein for evil. You keep talking about it, and your tongue frames deceit. You got deceit in your mouth, because Yahusha had no sin. Neither was deceit found in his mouth, but you do. You sit and speak against your brother. Now you want to talk about your brother because he's telling you this. You slander and speak against your brother. You slander your own mother's son. These ain't the things you have done, and I've been silent. Because you know why? Thou shalt not muzzle the ox that treadeth out the grain. He's like, man, I'm doing all this work. He said, man, I've been silent. He'd be like, because I've been having a muzzle on my mouth because I had to fast. Because of what? Because of all the stuff y'all did. You thought I was one like yourself. He said, you thought I did that stuff. But now I rebuke you. I whip you and lay charge before you. Mark this, you who forget Yahuwah Elohim. Man, you don't forgot the Torah. You can't have no respect of persons. Unapologetically. None. And guess what? Lest I tear you apart and there be none to deliver. Man, ain't gonna be nobody to deliver you. He said, I'm gonna tear you apart. And guess what? The one who offers thanksgiving or Aydah as his sacrifices glorifies me. Or you mean the one who offers animals and animal flesh and killing animals and cutting their head off and let the blood drain out and all these things, that's the things that Yahuwah says glorifies him. No, the one who offers Aydah as his sacrifices kabodes me. To the one who orders his way rightly, I will show him the salvation of Elohim. Right? So what do you mean ordering your way rightly? This is the 40 days is about. Male and female and child. That's what it's about. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 3, 10 through 19. According to the command of Yahuwah given to me, like a skilled master builder, I laid a foundation. Yesod. He said, I laid a foundation, and someone else is building upon it. Let each one take care how he builds upon it. For no one can lay a foundation other than that which is laid, which is Yahushua Mashiach. So are you joyful that this new foundation is made? Or are you like the old temple where you can kill animals and sacrifice them, cut their heads off, let the blood bleed out, cut the fat in the liver and cut the kidneys out, offer something dead on the altar, right? And let it just bleed out. You like that? He said, because you violent though, if you got to be a violent person. Verse 12, now if anyone builds on the foundation with gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, and straw, well, you know that is the idols. You can't put no idol on top of the foundation of Yahushua Mashiach. You must love your mother, father, sister, brother, child, wife. You must love these things more than any. Nashim, best friend. Each one's work will become manifest. For the day will disclose it. It's going. How many days you here? 40 days. He here for 40 days. So he say 40 days of being taught by Yahushua Mashiach. He's like, which one you want? Because it will be revealed by fire, right? It's not my debar like fire. Ayin ish lapi. It's like ish, and the fire will test what sort of work each one has done. Why? Because that's what he did in the wilderness, to annoy you, to see if what you building on top of it will actually stand. And guess what? It will not. Verse 14, if the work that anyone has built on the foundation survives, if for some reason it miraculously survives, without being touched by fire, he will receive a reward. So whatever Yahuwah says by his fire, that's what he don't want on his foundation. I don't want it there. Now, if you're building a house on the inside of you and you're supposed to construct something, he said, I don't want that in my temple. That's why I'm whipping it out of you. That's why. That's why he's whipping these things out of you. If anyone's work is burnt up, he will suffer loss. You're going to suffer loss. You're not going to have this in there. I'm going to beat it out of you. If you don't listen, then I will not hear you. If anyone's work is burnt up, he will suffer loss, though he himself will be saved. So if you accept the things that are burned, you know how things get burnt down or torn down, you'd be like, man, ain't no way I can build that back. I got to let that stuff go. I can't put that on the foundation. I can't put that on the new life that Yahushua gave me. I can't keep that. I can't allow that to stay with me. I can't do it anymore. So therefore, but only as through fire. Remember, this is all about saving your life. Not saving nobody else's life. It's saving your life. Because Yahuwah ain't choose you because you were more. He chose you you're few. Verse 16, do you not know that you are Yahuwah's temple? You know what Yahushua was doing in the temple? He was beating the animals out. Because I don't want that in your body. Animal flesh, I don't want that in your body. Matter of fact, I don't even want you selling the body. I don't want you to have greed in your temple. I don't want you to have hatred in your temple. I don't want you to have cruelty in your temple. I don't want you to have violence in your temple. I don't even want you even swindling nobody in your temple. Matter of fact, do you not know that you are Yahuwah's temple and that Yahuwah's Ruach dwells in you? Do you not know what's inside of there? The Aron, the Ark, the testimony? You can't have that next to that. You can't put that next to that. Are you insane? And it says, if anyone destroys Yahuwah's temple, Yahuwah will destroy him. Are you insane? You're going to put that idol, that person, that being, that child, that idol-worshiping child, your mother, your father, the things you own, you're going to put that next to the ark of Yahuwah in Yahuwah's temple. And they have no right to touch it. They might mess around and touch the thing. You know what's going to happen to them if they touch it? And they ain't purified themselves properly. They ain't been circumcised. They ain't purified themselves properly. They ain't do it according to the sanctuary. Do you know what's going to happen to them if they mess around and touch it? You'll be grieving for a loved one. That's why it says in Matthew, this is why it's important. This is Matthew chapter 18. Matthew chapter 18 and verse 1. Matthew chapter 18 verse 1. Matthew chapter 18 and 5. Matthew chapter 18 verse 5, 18 and 1. And at that time the disciples came to Yahushua saying, who is the greatest in the Malkuth of Shamayim? And calling him a child, he put him in the midst of them and said, truly I say to you, unless you turn and become like children. So he's talking to the disciples too. Because they thought they were grown too. Some of these people today think they grown, think they old. They're like, no, I'm just a child. You see how you just beat people down. You're like, yeah, I'm a child. Will never enter the kingdom of Elohim. Malkuth, you ain't never getting in. Regardless of how old you are, no matter what you think you know. Whoever humbles himself like this child, is the greatest in the kingdom of Yishamayim. Whosoever receives one such child in my name receives me. But whosoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, you're going to put them things next to the ark. You're going to put those things. You ain't going to tell nobody. I don't think you want to do that. It will be better for him to have a great millstone fastened around his neck and be drowned in the depths of the sea. So, verse 16, 1 Corinthians 3:16. Do you not know that you are Yahuwah's temple and that the Ruach of Yahuwah dwells within you? If anyone destroys Yahuwah's temple, Yahuwah will destroy him. And I'm going to throw you in the depths of the sea. I'm going to drown you. For Yahuwah's temple is Kudash. And you are that temple. Now you see why he beat the animals out, the ox, the pigeons, and all the things in the temple. The gold, the silver, he beat it out of you. He said, man, you remember what I said in the Torah, in the scriptures? What's supposed to be in your temple? So why is this inside of your temple? Why is this inside of your body? Verse 18, let no one deceive himself. You're only deceiving yourself. If anyone among you thinks that he is wise in his age, let him become a fool that he may become wise. That's male, female, and child. Everybody think they wise now. But you got a child, it ain't coming out of thing talking about other things, right? You see him. They be pointing the finger on the little thing and like, look what this kid said, right? They be like, they put the video and they point on the thing like, look what this kid said. Man, Yahuwah say, let no one deceive himself. If anyone among you thinks he is wise in his age, let him become a fool that he become wise. He talking to the child too. And some of these children coming out saying some stuff. You be like, nah, I'm gonna point the finger at you. You better look at Yahuwah's finger. It look like a whirlwind. Verse 19, for the wisdom of this world is folly with Yahuwah. He's like, if you ain't following Yahushua Mashiach for these 40 days right now, if you ain't doing what he's supposed to, if you're in this springtime. Now, if you're in the other time, of course, you know, time sequence, you're in a what? In a different time sequence. But at the same time, if you ain't following Yahushua right now, and you in the springtime sequence right now, for it is written, he catches the wise in their craftiness. Yahuwah gonna catch you. Yahushua gonna catch you with that whip. It's gonna come across your head. Right? He gonna hit you. And again, Yahuwah knows the thoughts of the wise, that they are futile. He said, I already know it's worthless. So let no one boast in men or children or women, because it's a lot. It ain't just men. Men, women, and children now coming out saying wise as they think they are. But he's saying, don't you boast in it. For all things are yours, whether Shaul or Apollos or Kaf, or of the world or life or death or the present or the future, all are yours. He said, all that wisdom is your wisdom. That ain't theirs. Because they follow what? Idols. He said, that's not their wisdom, that's yours. You're supposed to be that person that has that wisdom, not them. And you are Mashiach, and Mashiach is Yahuwah. Right? But that's all a part of it, right? This is Yuchanan 16, 12 through 15. I have many things to say to you, but you cannot bear them now. Nothing. He said, you can't carry it. When the Ruach of truth comes, he will guide you into all truth, and he will not speak of his own authority, but whatsoever he hears, he will speak. And he will declare to you things that are to come. And he will cobble me, for he will take what is mine and declare it to you. No foundation can no man lay as Yahushua Mashiach. All that the Father has given me, is mine. You know what he said in Psalms 50? Because he just like Adam. It's all mine. All that the Father has is mine. Therefore I said, he will take what is mine and declare it to you. Male and female, he said, I'm going to take what is mine and declare it to you. Why? Because that's important. Because everything he gives you is important, right? All right, this is the book of Yeshayahu. He says, so why is this important? I'm going to show you why. Because a lot of people don't know. This is the book of Yeshayahu, Isaiah. This is the book of Yeshayahu, Isaiah, chapter 11. In verse 1. Yeshayahu chapter 11, verse 1. There shall come forth a shoot from the stump of Yeshai. You mean like from David's lineage, Dawid. And a branch from his roots shall bear fruit. He said a branch is going to bear fruit. And the Ruach of Yahuwah shall rest upon him. That's 1. The Ruach of wisdom. 2, the Ruach of understanding. 3, the Ruach of counsel. 4, the Ruach of might. 5, the Ruach of knowledge. 6, and the fear of Yahuwah. 7, and his delight shall be in the fear of Yahuwah. And he shall not judge by what his eyes see. He's like, I'm not going to judge by what I see. Because because remember, you got illusionists out here. You got people who could paint things on the wall and make it look like it's real. And you act like you falling, you start screaming. Right? They got all types of things. I'm not going to go by what I see. Or decide disputes by what he hears. His ears hear. When a man has a dispute with a man, and the man decides between them, and you condemn the what? The guilt. You condemn or you say you acquit the innocent and condemn the guilty. Then you shall beat him with 40 stripes. Not above though, because you don't want to seem vile, right? You don't want to seem like you just a mean person. Guess what it says? He shall judge by what his eyes see. He shall not judge by what his eyes see, and decide disputes by what he hears. But with righteousness shall he judge the poor. And guess what? And decide the equity of the meek, the enu of the earth. That's what he's going to do. The equity. And he shall strike the earth with the rod of his mouth. He say, I'm going to whip it. I'm going to whip you with my mouth. And with the breath of his lips, he shall kill the wicked. He said, I'm going to kill you. He's killing you now. He's killing the wicked. Why are he killing them? Because they're evil. He can't allow their seed to take root. Because they are the seed of adulteress and the sinful bed. So I have to kill the wicked. And guess what? Righteousness shall be the belt of his waist. He said, that's what his belt. That's the part of the armor. That's what you're supposed to have on your waist. And faithfulness, the belt of his loins. That's the fruits of the Ruach. That's why he says a branch is going to grow out from the stem of your Yeshai, and it shall bear fruit. Because righteousness and faithfulness is part of the fruit. The wolf, guess what verse 5 says? The wolf shall dwell with the lamb. Why would a wolf dwell with the lamb? And the leopard shall lie down with a young goat. He's like, why would these are predatory animals that kill other animals. But for some reason, he finna quench their appetites and not allow them to devour something that they would normally eat. And the calf and the lion and the fatted calf together. Everybody gonna be sitting together and nobody gonna be devouring nobody. And the little child shall lead them. That's why who's the greatest in the kingdom, the Malkuth of Yahuwah Elohim? Who's the greatest? Who the greatest? Right? If you say, who's the greatest? The child. The child gonna lead them. The cow and the bear shall graze. Their young shall lie down together. The lion shall eat straw like an ox. Because you know what he said in the beginning. You remember what I said? That's why I beat all that stuff out of the temple. Why do you think that little child went in there? Because he's Yahuwah's son. He's Adam. He had to take authority of the men, the fish, the sea, fowls of the air, the tahanim, the behemoth, and the ramiz, and the insectoids. He had to. The nursing child shall play over the hole of a cobra. Who's going to allow that to happen? A woman going to run up and grab her child. No, you're not touching that cobra. Cobra could kill it in one bite. And the weaned child shall put his hand on the adder's den. Now, ain't that something? All these children are greatest in the Malkuth. So that's what's going to be great. You mean a cobra, an adder, a serpent, and all these things are not going to be harming nobody? And guess what happens? How do you know you have this inside of you? This is how you know. The nursing child shall play over the cobra, the hole of the cobra, and the weaned child shall put his hand in the adder's den. They shall not hurt or destroy in all my Qahalath mountain. Now you see why Yahushua was casting all those people out of his temple. He's like, you're not going to be hurting or destroying nothing in my temple. It shouldn't even be in your heart, little child. Little child, you're not supposed to kill nothing. Nobody's supposed to hurt anybody. We're all supposed to dwell in unity and in love and compassion, and nobody's supposed to destroy nobody in my Qahalath mountain. Why? That's supposed to be in your heart. It shouldn't be no other things in your heart. Why are you trying to destroy that? Why are you killing things? Because that's not the way I want to raise you, little child. The weaned child shall put his hand on the adder's den. They shall not hurt or destroy in my Qahalath mountain. For the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Yahuwah as the waters cover the sea. You mean like the waters cover the sea, like measures of water? You know, like dry measures? Or you mean like the measure of grain and the ephah and the mazon and the bath, the measure of water? You mean the math, karath? The one measure? The standard measure? And guess what? For the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Yahuwah as the waters cover the sea. In that day, the root of Yeshai, who shall stand as a signal for the peoples. Of him shall be the nations inquire, and his resting place shall be kabod, glorious. Why do you think Yahushua was beating them out? Whipping them out of the temple. He was beating them out of that place. In that day, Yahuwah will extend his hand a second time. Oh, What we got? Oh, a second Pesach. Because that old temple was supposed to have been destroyed. There should be no animal sacrifice, killing no animals or anything like that. Nobody should be destroying nobody. In the second Pesach, the only thing you should be doing is praising Yahuwah with all your might, that he even give you another opportunity he could forward for you for all the sin that men have committed on the earth. He shall recover his people the second time. To recover the remnant that remains of his people. So who are you? Who are you? From Assyria, from Mizraim, from Pathros, from Cush, from Elam, from Shinar, from Hamath, and from the coastlands of the sea. He's like, man, look at here. You see how my Kudash mountain gonna be? Are you one of those people, those children? Are you one of those children that's not gonna hurt in my Kudash mountain? That's gonna be filled with the knowledge of Yahuwah inside of your heart and your mind, and nobody's gonna hurt or destroy each other? Are you those children? He said, then I'm talking to you. And you know who you are. He's saying, they know who they are. You know exactly who you are. He said, I'm talking to you. And guess what? He will raise a signal for the nations and will assemble the banished of Yasharal. They're gonna hate you. They're gonna hate you because you don't want to destroy nothing. You don't want to kill anything. You don't want to do certain things. They're gonna hate you. And guess what? And gather the dispersed of Yehuda from the four corners of the earth. And guess what? The jealousy of Ephraim shall depart. Nobody gonna hurt in his Kudash mountain anymore. Why do you think all these people fighting and quarreling and all of that? Because they hurting each other. They're killing each other. They don't care about each other. They jealous and envious of each other. The jealousy of Ephraim shall depart. It hasn't departed out of them. So why are you connected to them? And those who harass Yehuda shall be cut off. He said, look at what they're doing. Ephraim shall not be jealous of Yehuda. Nobody going to destroy each other anymore. Are you a part of those? Are you those people? Or are you one of those people who gossip and slander and lie on people for decades and make all these false accusations and do all these things to destroy somebody on the inside? And Yehuda shall not harass Ephraim, but they shall swoop down on the shoulders of the Philistines in the west, and together they shall plunder the people of the east. Right? But we skipping out there. Right? This is Dead Sea Scrolls, column 6, 4Q 257. These are their paths in the world to enlighten the heart of Adam. Straighten out in front of him all the paths of true justice. You know what we just read? He's straightening out everything. And he said, I'm going to straighten you out. That's all he's doing. Establishing his heart respects for the precepts of Elohim and the Ruach of meekness. You think Bereshit chapter 1 with the precept? But nobody respects it, though. In the Ruach of Anu, of patience and generous compassion, eternal goodness and intelligence, understanding and potent wisdom, which trusts in all the deeds of Elohim and depends on his abundant mercy. Isn't that what we do? And we read in the book of Wisdom of Solomon. A Ruach of knowledge in all plans of action, of enthusiasm, decrees of justice and set apart plans and firm purpose and generous compassion with all the sons of truth, with magnificent purity, which detests all unclean idols. He said, if you can't hate even your own life, even your own family, and things in your own life, he said, you can't be my disciple. Of careful behavior and wisdom concerning everything. So that means everything you do. Everything. Of concealment concerning the truth of the mysteries of the knowledge. These are the foundations of the Ruach, the spirits of the sons of truth in the world. And the reward of those who walk in it will be healing. I won't put none of the diseases of Mizraim on you. Plentiful peace and long life. It'll be so much shalom and peace, it'll pass your own understanding. Fruitful offspring. Your children will come out of the womb full of truth and love and compassion. Right? With an everlasting blessing, eternal enjoyment and endless life, a crown of kabod and majestic raiment and eternal life. So why is this important? Why is this important? Right? This part number. Right? So this is the book of Samuel, 1 Samuel. This is the book of 1 Samuel. First Samuel, 2 Samuel chapter 6. 2 Samuel, Shemuel chapter 6 and verse 12. 2 Shemuel chapter 6 and verse 12. And it was told King Dawid, Yahuwah has baraked the household of Obed-Edom, and all that belongs to him. Because the ark of Elohim, the ark of Elohim, the Arun of Yahuwah Elohim is in his house. So Dawid went and brought up the ark, the Arun of Elohim, to the house, from the house of Obed-Edom to the city of Dawid, and with rejoicing. Man, he would dance with all his might. Then with the second Patah, he would dance with all his might. And when those who bore the ark, Arun of Yahuwah, had gone 6 steps, man, they only went 6 steps. He only went 6 steps. He sacrificed an ox and a fatted animal. He did. What did Yahushua just do? He beat all that stuff out of the temple, right? But get what he said. And Dawid danced before Yahuwah with all his might. So which one do you think Yahuwah was looking at? The sacrificed animals, or the fact that he was dancing with Yahuwah with all his might? And Dawid was wearing a linen ephod. So Dawid and all the house of Yasharal brought up the ark of Yahuwah with shouting, with the sound of the horn. They brought the horn, everything. They were shouting, dancing. Why? Because the Arun is back. The Arun is back. Why do you think Yahushua was here for 40 days? The Arun, the Kaparoth with the Aydah, the testimony inside of it. The Arun is back. It rose from the grave. It's here. And as the ark of Yahuwah came into the city of Dawid, Michal, the daughter of Saul, looked out the window and saw King Dawid leaping and dancing before Yahuwah, and she despised him in his heart. She despised wisdom and nurture. Her wives are foolish and your children wicked. Who else she despised him? Because Yahushua was the one that was despised. He was despised and rejected by men. She thinks she was despising Dawid? No, she wasn't despising David. She was despising Yahushua Mashiach. Because he was the ark that was brought into the camp. And Dawid was dancing because of the ark of Yahuwah. You mean Yahushua Mashiach. And she despised Yahushua Mashiach in her heart. And guess what? And they brought in the ark of Yahuwah and set it in its place inside the tent that Dawid had pitched for it. He said, I made a house for Yahuwah, right? And Dawid offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before Yahuwah. And when Dawid had finished offering the burnt offering and the peace offerings, he baraked the people in the name of Yahuwah of hosts, and distributed all among all the people, the whole multitude of Yasharal, both men and women, cake of bread and portions of meat, and cakes of raisins and cakes of wine, each one. Then all the people departed, each to his house. He gave food and everything. Man, the Arun came back. Right? That's like a feast day, right? Then you go to verse 20. And Dawid returned to Barak his household. Then he started going back to his household. But Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet Dawid and said, How long King of Yasharal honored himself today, uncovering himself today before the eyes of his servants' females, as one of the vulgar fellows seamlessly uncovering himself. Right? Because she all focused on the flesh. Because they that of the flesh mind the things of the flesh. But they that of the Ruach, the things of the Ruach. Because when you have the mindset of the fleshly mind, you create strife, quarreling, hatred, jealousy, envy, strife, jealousy, all that come with the flesh. Because you are the flesh. And guess what he did? And he says, it was before Yahuwah of hosts, who chose me above your father and above all his house. Because, man, they were worse than their fathers. Remember he said that? Don't be like your fathers. He chose me above your father. And you know what else? Yeah. And it says, and Dawid said to Michal, it was before Yahuwah, who chose me above your father and above his house to appoint me Nasi prince over Yasharal, the people of Yahuwah. And I will celebrate before Yahuwah. He said, man, I'm going to celebrate this thing. Do you understand? Yahuwah said, to understand this, Yahushua chose you. Yahuwah chose you. He said, I'm going to celebrate before Yahuwah. I will make myself yet more contemptible than this. and I will be abased in your eyes. He said, that's why Shaul said, I know how to be abased, and I know how to abound. I know how to suffer need, I know how to be hungry, I know how to be full. I can do all things with Mashiach, which strengthens me. By the name of the female servants of whom you have spoken, by them I shall be held in honor. And Michal, the daughter of Saul, did not have no child to the day of her death. Why? Why would Yahuwah give you a child? When you're not joyful that the ark, your room, Yahushua Mashiach, is back. Why would you not? Why would he give you a child if you don't believe yet Yahushua Mashiach is risen from the grave? Why would he give you a child if you don't celebrate before Yahuwah? And he gave you another opportunity at something you didn't do correctly the first time. Why would you not? Why would he do that? Because he wants things to happen, right? This is this book of Malachi. Malachi chapter 4. Malachi chapter 4. Malachi chapter 4 and I think it's 3. Malachi chapter 3. Actually, Malachi chapter 2, I think it is. Malachi chapter 2 and verse 16. I think it's 2:16. 2:16. Yeah, 2:16. 2:13. It says, and this second thing you do, you cover Yahuwah's altar with tears and with weeping and groaning, because he no longer regards your offering or accepts it with favor from your hand. That's why they were weeping when the temple. Remember the first temple, he didn't accept their offering. Why do you think he destroyed the temple when Yahushua cried out? They were weeping, and then some people were shouting for joy, like Dawid was dancing with all his might. But you had this other person weeping for the other temple because I can't do my old life and the old thing we used to do. He don't accept your offering. Why do you think he said, we talk about acceptance, right? At the beginning. But it says right here, but you say, why does he not? Because Yahuwah was witness between you and the wife of your youth, to whom you have been faithless. Though she is your companion and your wife by covenant, did he not make them one? Was Michal and Dawid one? No, because she had one mindset of the flesh, and he had one mindset according to the Ruach. He's like, man, the ark then came back, the Arum. But guess what she had? It was, because the flesh and the Ruach war with each other. Flesh and spirit war with each other. That's why they had a war in their house. That's why she was quarreling and fighting, because one's of the Ruach and the other one is not. But both people of the Ruach, then they both would have seen the Arum, the ark done came back, and she would have been dancing with all her might too. She would have been jumping around, dancing before Yahuwah. I don't know about stripping naked, but everybody would have been going crazy. But not her. Because she ain't believe. And guess what? Did he not make them one with a portion of the Ruach in their union? They say, ain't nothing to Ruach with that. I said, okay. Believe it if you want to. It's a spiritual thing that comes with it. That's why Michal went dancing with Dawid when the ark came back. Because she wasn't one with him fully. Especially when he started, he put me over your fathers. Man, look how evil your fathers are, man. He done put us above them. Right? And what was the one Elohim seeking? What was he seeking? Righteous offspring. Why do you think Michal didn't have a child to the day of her death? Because she was warned with her husband about the Ruach or the Arum coming back with the kofar, the mercy seat. You know what that is? He said that's the mercy seat. With the Aydah, the testimony inside of it. And guess what? So guard yourselves in your Ruach. That's male and female. And child. He say, guard yourself in your Ruach, because Satan trying to get in you. He's trying to get in your mind. And let none of you be faithless to the wife of your youth. Or your husband. Why? For the man or woman who does not love his wife or husband, but divorces her, Says Yahuwah, Elohim, Yahshua covers his garment with violence. Why? Because now you see the earth was filled with violence. Why? Because when you send a woman away, and it's not for adultery, because David couldn't get rid of her. It wasn't for adultery. He had no reason to. But she still stayed in his house. But at the same time, if he would have did that, he would have been covered his garments with violence. And you know what had happened after that? Somebody would have taken her, and they both would have been committing adultery, and then more violence. Yahuwah's wrath would have been on his whole house even more. And more. And more. And more. But guess what? Says Yahuwah of hosts. So guard yourselves in your ruach and do not be faithless. So even though she didn't believe that the ark was in the house, you know, the ark room was in there with the copper robe, with the seat, and people bear the ark. She didn't believe it. The testimony that Aydah. She didn't believe what happened in Passat. She didn't believe. He said, man, that ain't no reason though. He said, you got to still endure the whole thing. But that's the whole point. Verse 17, you weary Yahuwah with your words, but you say, how have we wearied you? By saying everyone who does evil is good. You keep company with adulterers. You pleased with a thief. You saying that they still got good. You saying they good. We talked about this. People saying, my child is better than your child. My child. I'm like, what? Don't do that. You say, man, you wearying Yahuwah. But saying everyone who does evil is good in the sight of Yahuwah, and he delights in them. Or by asking, where is the Elohim of justice, right? He coming, though. Right, going back to Dead Sea Scrolls 4Q 257. It says, and all those who walk in it will be healing, plentiful peace, fruitful offspring. That's what happens. You get a child. With all everlasting barak, eternal enjoyment in this life, and the crown of gold and majestic raiment and eternal life. However, the ruach of deceit belongs greed, because that's in your mouth, in your lips, in your tongue. Sluggish in the service of justice, wickedness, falsehood, pride, haughtiness of heart, dishonesty, trickery, cruelty, much insecurity, impatience, much foolishness, impudent enthusiasm for appalling acts done in the lustful passion, filthy past in the service of impurity, blasphemous tongue, blindness of eyes, hardness of heart, stiffness of neck, hardness of heart, in order to walk in the paths of darkness and evil cunning. And the visitation of those who walk in it will be abundant afflictions by the hands of the Malachia of the destruction, for eternal damnation by scorching wrath by Elohim that revenges, for permanent terror and shame without end, with humiliation and destruction by the fire of the dark regions, and all the ages of the generations, because there's a generation that's clean in their own eyes, but have not been washed from their filth over cots. They shall spend in bitter weeping and harsh evils. One day weeping when the temple, the second foundation was being laid, and the other one wasn't. They were weeping. They were more worried about that natural temple, that temple, that other house that was built. They weren't thinking about the next house that was coming. They were so busy worried about that, weeping and things that they can't do anymore, and casting little false judgments on people. They were upset. Bitter weeping and harsh evils be the abyss of the darkness until destruction. That's the only reason they were weeping. So are you going to believe with joy? Or are you going to believe? He said until destruction. Because Yahushua Mashiach is risen from the grave. And he here for 40 days. Even as we're reenacting it. But at the same time, it's all a part of it. Without there being a remnant or survival for them. This is all a part. This is Psalms 116, 1 through 19. I love Yahuwah because he had heard my voice and pleads for mercy. Because he inclined his ear to me, therefore I will call on him as long as I live. The snares of death encompass me. The pains of Sheol laid hold on me, and I suffered distress and anguish. Then I called on the name of Yahuwah. Yahuwah, I pray, deliver my soul. Gracious is Yahuwah, and righteous our Elohim is merciful. Yahuwah preserves the simple. When I am brought low, he saved me. When I am enough. When I am enough. When I am shafal, he saved me. Return, O my soul, to your rest. For Yahuwah has dealt bountifully with you. For you have delivered my soul from death, and my eyes from tears. Huh? Who delivered us from death and your eyes from tears? Are you going to be weeping over the old temple that was there? You still think about the old temple, your old life. Your old things you used to do. He said, nah. My feet He says, you delivered my soul from death and my eyes from tears, my feet from stumbling. I will walk before Yahuwah in the land of the living. Because Yahuwah is the Elohim of the living and not of the dead. He said, present your body a living sacrifice. I believed, and when I spoke, I am greatly afflicted. I said in my alarm, all Adam are liars, or Kazab. What shall I render to Yahuwah for all his benefits to me? I will lift up the cup of Yeshua. And that's got a ha at the end. This one does. The other one had just an ayin at the end. This one has a feminine nature at the end. And call on the name of Yahuwah, because Yahuwah is both male and female. Yah is masculine, right? When you put woo, you got male and female. I will pay my vows to Yahuwah in the presence of all his people. Precious in the sight is the death of Yahuwah's kind ones, faithful ones, because nobody gonna destroy his Kudash mountain. Nobody gonna do that. Not in his Kudash mountain. And a child gonna lead them. And an infant child, sucking child, gonna have a hand on a cobra nest. And an adder's den. Verse 16, Yahuwah, I am your Abad, the son of your maid servant. You have loosed my bonds. I will offer to you the sacrifice of thanksgiving. Because he said, he that offers thanksgiving to me praises me as his sacrifice. And call on the name of Yahuwah. He's like, I'm going to do that. I will pay my vows to Yahuwah in the presence of all his people, in the courts of the house of Yahuwah in your midst. O you Jerusalem, praise Yahuwah. Why? Because you are that temple, right? So that word for Yeshua, right? Because he got a ha at the end. The cup of Yeshua, right? His name in the other one with the ayin with just the ayin at the end, it means he will save, or he saves. This one means salvation. Right? Right? It means what? Salvation, deliverance, prosperity, victory, salvation, right? You get the victory, deliverance. He said, I'm going to live with that. It means aid, deliverance, to be saved, deliverance, health, helping, salvation, to saving, right? And amazingly, right, you got Yeshua, he was the Yod, he was the 10, the Shani was the 300, the Wu was the 6, the Ayin is 70, the Ha is 5, he was the 391, he was the 13. Does not the Azin taste the words as the cake tastes the food? As the mouth tastes the food? Because the 13. Why? Because it's all a part of it. Both male and female. That's why he said Adam. He created Adam, Zakar, Nakabah. And that's all a part of it. Right? So that word for saints is kasid. Precious in it is the sight, is the death of his saints. That's why he said, he that calleth one of these little ones to believe in me to sin, because the wages of sin is death. So you're going to call one of my kind ones, my faithful ones, my kadashim to sin. For the wages of sin is death. So you just call death on one of my kind ones by getting them to commit sin. Oh, I get it. So therefore, I'd rather put a millstone around your neck and throw you in the sea. That's what I'd rather do than to save you. I'd rather do that. Right? Psalms 32, 6 through 9. Therefore, let everyone who is conceived offer prayer to you at the time when you may be found. That's why he found them. Because he like you. He wants you. Surely in the rush of great waters, they shall not reach him in the floods. You are a hiding place for me. You preserve me from trouble. You surround me with shouts of deliverance. That's why they were crying out and shouting for joy when the new foundation was laid. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. What do you think he's doing? I will counsel you with my eye upon you. Yahuwah looking at you. He's like, people have, that's why you don't walk in the counsel of the wicked. What do you think Yahuwah doing? He making sure that people don't walk in the counsel of the wicked. And guess what? Be not like the horse and the mule without understanding. Don't be like an animal. which must be curbed with bits and bridle, or they will not stay near you. He said, don't be like that. He said, I open my hands generously to you. That word, of course, you know that word for godly is the kind. He said, let everyone who is kind, faithful, the faithful ones, offer prayer when you may be found. Right? It's Psalms 37, 7-11. Be still before Yahuwah and wait patiently for him. Fret not yourself over the one who prospers in the way, over the man or woman or child who carries out evil devices. Refrain from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not yourself, it only tends to evil. Because you're gonna be like, he that does evil, you're gonna say is good. No. You gotta forsake it. For evildoers shall be cut off. He can't allow it to stay. That's why he's gonna whip people. Why you need to cut them all out of the temple? But those who wait for Yahuwah shall inherit the Aydah. Because nobody gonna destroy Makudash Mountain. Not one thing. For all going to be filled with the knowledge of Yahuwah. Everything, as the waters cover the sea. That's a lot of water, man. In just a little while, the wicked will be no more. Though you look carefully at his place, he will not be there. And that's why he tore that temple down. He split it in two. And they were weeping over it too. Man, you remember that old temple, man? We used to go to. But the meek, the meek shall inherit the Aydah and delight themselves in the abundance of shalom. Right? That word for meek is Aynu, the poor, the humble, the afflicted, the needy, the lowly, the humble, the meek. Nazarene asked the Shalakim how demons get power over men, women, and children. Therefore, demons, as we have just said, when once they are able by means or opportunities afforded them to convey themselves by base and evil actions into the bodies of men, women, and children, if they remain in them a long time through their own negligence, because they do not seek after what is profitable for their inner beings, they necessarily compel them in the future to fulfill the desires of the demons that dwell inside of them. Remember, the demons, Shadim, got desires inside of you. You'll feel them. They'll get you to try to do things so they can continually stay inside of you or find a doorway in. But what is worse at the end of the age, when the demons will be co-signed to ageless fire, ageless torment, that the bar that they didn't want to hear, that they turned the stubborn ear to, they took control of your ear and made it uncircumcised and made you not hear it. So therefore they have control over you when the sun goes down. That's literally what happens. For the necessity, the Ruach also that obeyed him will with him be tortured in ageless fires together with his body that has polluted. Because you have a choice to either obey it or not obey it. You have a choice to obey the gates of Sheol inside of you, or you have a choice to say, no, we're not doing that today. Resist them with the debar. Thou shalt worship Yahuwah your Elohim, and him only shalt thou serve. Resist Satan, and he'll go back to his cage. Get back in your cage. Right? Go get back in your pit, Satan, right? Shaitan. That's what you gotta say. Because you gotta get back in your pit. Because he inside of everybody. What do you think he inside of people for? Because he trying to get you to sin. He gonna jump inside of you. Why you let Satan fill your heart and your mind? You know what he told Kyle? He said he filled your heart and your mind with water, bitter water, and false words. And he brought your mind to fighting, right? Romans chapter 12, verse 1. I appeal to you, therefore, men, women, and children, by the mercies of Yahuwah, to present your bodies a living sacrifice, Kudash and acceptable to Yahuwah, which is your spiritual worship. That's your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of Yahuwah, what is good and acceptable and perfect. You have to make the determination. Is it acceptable? I want to be accepted. Philippians 3, 12 through 21. Not that I have already obtained this or am already perfect, but I press to make it my own, because Mashiach Yahusha has made me his own. Brothers, sisters, and children, I do not consider that I have made it my own, but one thing I do, I'm forgetting what lies behind and straining forward what lies ahead. So you think about the old house or the new one. Think about your old life or the new life. I press on toward the goal of the prize of the upward call of Yahuwah in Mashiach Yahusha. Let those who are mature think this way. You got to mature. Once you mature, then you'll leave your old life behind. all the praises, all the compliments, all the things that people said about you, and become a child, knowing that Yahuwah is the only wise Elohim, and He gives Bina Hamada'ath in the inside of man, woman, and children. That's where your intelligence comes from. It doesn't come from the wisdom of this world and the things that they gave you, and the compliments that they gave you. And if anything you think otherwise, Yahuwah will reveal that also to you. Only let us hold true to what we have attained. Men, women, and children, join in imitating me. Why? Because you don't do what if He don't do it, what's the point in not them doing it? Keep your eyes on those who walk according to the example you have in us, for many of whom I have often told you, and now I tell you, even with tears, walk as enemies to the cross of Mashiach. Why? Because they still think about the old temple. Where we used to kill the things and the animals and the things we used to do and destroy and sell and buy and get gain and all these things. That's all they were thinking about. Their end is their destruction. Their God is their belly. That's all they want to put. That's why why you think Yahusha in the temple got rid of all them animals out of there? He whipped them things up out of there, even the men and the animals. The suggested thought, the people who were selling and buying, and all the money. He said, man, that stuff don't belong in here. And guess what it says? In their kabod is their shame with minds on earthly things. But our citizenship is in the Shamaim, who will transform our lowly body to be like Yeshua or Yasha, the Master Yahushua Mashiach, who will transform our lowly body to be like His Aydah, His magnificent body. That's why we talk about magnificent purity, was to test all unclean idols. By the power that enables Him to subject all things to Himself, right? And everything, right? This is Shemut Exodus 15, 6 through 12. Your right hand, Yahuwah Aydah, in power, in your core. Your right hand, Yahuwah shatters the enemy. In the greatness of your majesty, you overthrow your adversaries. You send out your fury. It consumes them like stubble. At the blast of your nostrils, the waters are piled up, and the floods stood up in a heap, and the deeps congealed in the heart of the sea. That's what He did when He came out of Mizraim. The enemy said, I will pursue. That's what they said. I will overtake. They confident. I will divide the spoil. They real confident. My desire shall be, it's full of them. I will draw my sword, my hand, and destroy them. That's what they believe. You blew in your wind, the sea covered them. They sank like lead in the mighty waters. Woe unto them who cause one of these little ones to believe in me to sin. It'd be better that a millstone be tied around your neck and you be cast in the depths of the sea, and cause one of these little ones to believe in me to sin. Who is like you, Yahuwah, among the gods? Who is like you, majestic in Kudash, awesome in your Aydah, your glorious Aydah? It's like Aydah, I mean first month, right? But also, or that's the last month, but at the same time, deeds doing wonders, right? You stretched out your right hand, your Yamim, the earth swallowed them up, right? That's the way He did with His Yad and His Meme. He sent that flood waters. He did that with 2 aleph bits. But what He do with the rest? Because it says Yamim, you got a Yad and Meme, then you got a Yad and a Noon at the end of it too. He got a Yad and a Noon at the end of it too. So what did He do with that? You have led in your steadfast love the people whom you have redeemed. What do you think He's doing now? You have guided them by your strength to your Kudash abode. What do you think He's doing? Remember, He gave them all man until they got to the place where they needed to be. Right, so that word for right hand is Yamin. It means right hand, right side. It means right hand, the stronger. Right? It means also the south, left hand, the right hand side, south, right? But He said right, mean, right? Yamin. For the Yad equals to 10, Meme equals to 40, Yad equals to 10, and Noon equals to 50. We use the 110, which equals to 2. What month is it? The second month. It's the second month. And what does Yad mean? It means hand. Meme means water. Behold the hand and the water. Behold the hand, you got the hand in life, the right hand in life. So you got the right hand in water and the right hand in life. His right hand brought you through water and it gave you life. And amazingly, He told Thomas, He said, behold my hands, my Yad, in my side. He said, my Adoni, my Elohim. But all this is a part of it. And amazingly, what's the second letter of the alphabet? Ba'ith, house, tent, Mishkan, Mikdash, palace, temple. And when did they start building it? In the second month. They started constructing it. They laid the foundation. And everybody who will believe shouted for joy because there was another opportunity to build it again. Better than it was before. See, this temple will allow you to go transcend other dimensions, allow you to cross and go to the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh Shamaim. Matter of fact, it'll allow you to fight Satan with a spiritual type of fight. Matter of fact, it gives you a whole armor that was not given to regular people. It was given only to the Kohanim, but I'm giving it to you. Matter of fact, it's going to allow you to carry the Aron and the Ark too, man. You'll be able to carry it with 2 posts. And matter of fact, you'll be able to put a Aydah inside of it. Matter of fact, you are able to carry the sword of the Ruach, which most people won't be able to do that. Now you're able to do that now. This temple is so great. Matter of fact, it has 9 fruits that you should need to bear inside of it. Matter of fact, it has 8 things you can think on. Even some of the things are beautiful and lovely. Think on these things. Then it has 9 gifts inside of it as well. Then it has 7 ruachs that come with it, and 7 muaz and feasts, and 12 manners of fruit, and 12 cranial nerves, and all these things that you got to protect, and all these things, and you got to protect your fruit, right? It gives you plentiful peace and long life, and fruitful offspring of everlasting barak and eternal life. All at the same time. Why would you not want that? Right? Your right hand, that word for glorious is Aydah. It means to be great, to be majestic. To make glorious, to be great, to expand, to be magnificent. That's why we talk about magnificent purity. Right? Magnificent, right? It's so magnificent. That's why people don't like that. That's why people didn't follow Yahushua. He's like, I gotta purify myself from all that. Man, I'm going back home. I'm going back to Mizraim. I'm going back to Mizraim. I'm going back to what I used to do. Man, that's crazy, right? So who is like you among the gods? That is, for gods is El, right? Who is like you among the mighty ones, the men of rank, the heroes? That's what they call them in the world. You see them? Right? You got all of them. Black Panther, right? Right? Who is like Hulk? I know somebody who's better than the Hulk now. Who is like the Avengers, right? Who is like the X-Men, right? Who like Goku? Who like Vegeta, right? I know who is like Yahuwah among the gods. Who is like Yahuwah? Not one person. Who like Mikal and Garba'al and Raphael and Uriel? Who like them? They reveal all types of in Revelation, but who like them? Not one. Who like them among the angels? Malachi, Shaitan, and Shemjaza. False god among the demons, Mastama, Listiras, Autoleaf. Who like them? Who like Yahuwah? Not one. Agbiwi, right? Adal, Aldi, right? Who is like them? Strength and power, Isis and Osiris and Hathor and Tahuti. Who is like him? Ashtar Command, reptilians. Who is like Yahuwah among the gods of Zeus and the Kraken? You know, they say the Kraken, the Loch Ness monster, the Bigfoot. Who is like Yahuwah among the gods? Not one. Agartha, Anunnaki. Man, who like Yahuwah? Not one person. Not one God on earth. It's a strength, deity, almighty deity, right? The idols, right? That's what they do among the El, right? Who is like you among the El house that you go eat at? Who is like Yahuwah among the El house, right? Who? Not one person. Right? It said, mighty are your wonders. That word for wonders is Pele or Pala. It means wonderful, marvelous, a miracle, right? He does a lot of miracles. Yahuwah does a lot of miracles. He does a lot of miracles. You just don't see it because one thinks that it's always got to be something, possessions or money and cars and a flying car, right? And the flying vehicles that they come and create. You think that's that's the Barak. I'm blessed in the city, blasting in your car, right? Blast all these things, right? Did you feel like you Barak? It's not always that. Shemuth, Exodus 22 and 20. Whosoever sacrifices to any Elohim other than Yahuwah alone shall be devoted to destruction. That's just straight and plain and simple. Straight, plain, and simple, right? Good. That means what? To slaughter, kill, sacrifice. Slaughter is sacrifice. Slaughter the eating. Divine judgment. Sacrifice. Why do you think Yahushua get in there and beat them people out that temple? He beat them people out that temple, that money, them animals. He beat the animal. He ran the animals run out of there. He's like, you don't remember in Bereshit what I told you? Get up out of here. He keep the ox out of there, the pigeon. Even the people that were selling, even all the money, he threw it over. He's like, this is not going to be in my temple because y'all offering to other gods. That ain't the type of sacrifices I wanted. You offering to other gods in the temple. So therefore, get out. Kill, offer, sacrifice, slay. Because nothing's going to destroy his Kudash mountain, remember? That's what he said. And the child going to lead them. The child went in there and started beating them out. Adam. I got to throw it the second Adam. A life-giving Ruach. You know what the second Adam is? A life-giving Ruach. Went in there and just beat all the animals and men out. You know, remember how it was in the Bereshit? That's why I'm making it. I'm finna put a kingdom, give it back to Yahuwah with overflowing with righteousness. Nobody gonna be destroying nothing in my Kudash mountain. And that's how he wanted. Right, this Romans 8, 6 through 11. For to set your mind on the flesh is death, but to set your mind on the Ruach is life and peace. So you want to have life and shalom, he'll keep you in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on him. That's why he was here for 40 days, to try to show you how to keep your mind stayed on him. For the mind set on the flesh is hostile to Elohim. That's why Michal was hostile against Dawid. For it does not submit to Yahuwah's law. Because she wasn't supposed to say what she said. For it indeed cannot. Those who are of the flesh cannot please Yahuwah. That's why he ain't getting no child. He's like, you think that was the last time she talked about it? No, that was not the last time she talked about it. But yeah, in that situation, that was the time she talked about it. You, however, are not in the flesh, but in the Ruach. Why? He said, you are, however, not of the flesh, but the Ruach. If in fact the Ruach of Yahuwah dwells in you, anyone who does not have the Ruach of Mashiach does not belong to him. You say you don't. But if Mashiach Yahushua is in you, although the body is dead because of sin, the Ruach is life because of righteousness. If the Ruach of him who raised Yahushua from the dead dwells in you, he who raised Mashiach Yahushua from the dead will also give life to your mortal bodies through the Ruach who dwells in you. That's what the second Adam was, a life-giving Ruach. He said the first Adam was a living soul. The second one is a life-giving Ruach. Because you need both. You're a living soul, but you need the Ruach on the side of you to raise up your body. So that's why he beat everybody out of the temple. Okay, you are that temple now. Knowing not what you need, don't have this in your temple. You be just like Adam, but then you need a life-giving Ruach to give you life again. He breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. You need both. He said, why? Because he's trying to resurrect you, right? And these are part of Romans 13, 7 through 16. Remember your leaders and those who spoke you the word of Elohim. And what Yahushua doing right now? But he says, consider the outcome of their way of life and imitate their amunah. Because he said you'll get a special type of amunah. When you ain't never been defiled in no adulterous bed and you a eunuch. He said you get a special type of amunah. Why? Because it's a different type of amunah. He's like, so you willing to abstain from all of this and do this and all that and get to this day, the 25th day, and then you see another one. You saying, so you're really actually contemplating on doing it? Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. I've been seeking such to worship me in this way. Because the Father seeketh such. He's seeking these type people. So you're the one of those when they want to destroy my Kudash mountain, and you're one of those who follow Yahushua like that. He's like, you're gonna beat all that stuff out of your temple. You don't want that in your temple no more. Oh boy. Yahushua Mashiach is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Yahuwah is the same way. Yesterday, past, present, and future. So you think he was any different in the beginning? He the same person. He was the same person when he came on the scene. Yahuwah was in the Son, reconciling the world to himself. He was the same person that he was in the beginning when he came to the earth and he started beating them out of the temple. He was the same person. Same commandment, same thing he wanted. Do not be led away by diverse and strange teachings, for it is good for the heart to be strengthened with Khan. Why? You're only strengthened through grace. This is what do you think second Pesach is? It's Khan. You're strengthened through that. Strange teaching is you ate that with your ear, you actually listened to that? Not by foods, which have not benefited those devoted to them. He's like, man, you listening to that? Oh my gosh. We have an altar from which those who serve the tent have no right to eat. They ain't got no right to eat this. They haven't even purified themselves the correct way. The same people that Yahushua was beating out of the temple and everything like that, he said these people have no right to eat it. Even those who served the tent, the Louis during that time didn't have the right to eat what we eat. For the bodies of those animals whose blood is brought into the Qahalath place by the Hakan as a sacrifice for sin are burned outside the camp. He's like, they burn that, they know not to bring that in there. But guess what? So Yahushua also suffered outside the gate in order to sanctify the people through his own blood. He was outside the camp. Therefore, let us go outside the camp and bear the reproach he endured. He's like, for we have no lasting city. He said, I ain't got no lasting city. What are you talking about? But we seek a city that's to come. He's like, you persecuted one city, you gotta flee to another city. You go to another place, you gotta leave, you gotta go. Man, he said, we ain't got no city. He said, you got a home. You got a city. He said, we running for our life, right? He said, run. Through him, let us offer up a sacrifice of praise to Yahuwah continually. Through him, let us continually offer up a sacrifice of praise to Yahuwah. Why? Because it's continual offering. Because he that offers Aydah praise to me, kabodes me as a sacrifice. That is the fruit of the lips that acknowledge his name. He said a branch going to grow out of your shine. And he said they're going to bear fruit too. Matter of fact, nobody going to hurt in my Kudash mountain either. Do not neglect to do good and share what you have. For such sacrifices are pleasing to Yahuwah. He's saying praise, doing good, and sharing. What type of sacrifice is that? That ain't got nothing to do with what you talking about. So he's going to cut the neck off and let it bleed on the ground, right? Oh, I feel the spirit. That's everything to do with behavior. Praise, doing good, and sharing. That has nothing to do with anything. That's behavior. That's like a child. What does a child do? Praise, do good, and share. You want something? You could have one. You could have one. It has nothing to do with what people think. It's Psalms 119, 160 through 66. We almost finished. The Aydah is true, right? From the beginning. They say the Rosh, or the beginning. And it says, and every one of thy righteous judgments endure forever. It says, princes have persecuted me without a cause or sorrow, but my heart standeth in awe of thy word. He said, man, this is crazy. I rejoice at thy word at one that findeth great spoil. You know, he said, we're going to pursue. We're going to take everything they got. I hate and abhor lying, but the Torah do I love, the law. 7 times, or Shabath a day, do I praise halal thee because of thy righteous judgments. And it's 7 times 7, 49. Now you see why. He said, why we got 49 day counting the 50th day? Because it's 49. He said 7 times a day. So what do you think Yahushua talking about? Counting the Omer, right? You counting 50 days to 7 times 7, 49. 49, 49, 49, 49, 49, 49, 49, 13, 13, 13, 13, all the way through the end. Right? Ain't that crazy? People say, what? Great shalom have they which love thy Torah, and nothing shall offend them. He's like, you know why? Because I ain't going to beat you over 40 stripes. I'm not going to beat you over 40. How many times who should beat him? Maybe like 15. He's like, I ain't going to beat you over 40 though. Because that's just going to make me look like, ooh. That's going to make me look real vile in your sight, right? Evil. Right? He says, you know what? I ain't gonna do that many times. He said nothing shall offend them. Why? Because he's like, Yahuwah, I hoped for thy Yeshua, right? There go that same word. That same word with the ha at the end, male and female, and done thy commandments. Male and female. They got the ha at the end. 13. Amazing they got 13 here. That equal 13. And then here you go right here. What that equal to? 26. He said, what does that mean? You know what guess what? They know what that means. Right there in Tahalim 19, 160 to 166. This is Aleph Yukanan 2, 24 to 28. Let what you heard from the beginning abide in you. Now you see why Yahushua was beating him out of the temple. Bam. And what you heard from the beginning abides in you, you won't destroy in his Kudash mountain. For all going to be filled with the knowledge of Yahuwah as the waters cover the sea. Then you too will abide in the Son, the life of the house, and the Father, the strength of the house. Why? Because in their house, there ain't going to be nobody destroying nothing. He said, man, a child going to be on a cobra nest and an adder. Going to stick his hand in the adder's den. A lion going to lay with a bear. A lion going to eat straw. And this is the promise he has made to us, eternal life. Because the promise of the priest, Kohanim, is Yahuwah. I write these things about those who are trying to deceive you, but the anointing you received of him abides in you. You have no need that anyone should teach you. But as his anointing teaches you about everything and is true and is no lie, just as it has taught you, abide in him. And now, little children. What do you think you're going to be? They're going to be all children, man. Lions and bears and snakes and freaking bears and all types of stuff. You're going to be lying on each other. Wolves going to be with a lamb. Nobody going to do nothing, nobody. And a child, children are going to lead them. That's why I say if you don't become like this little child, you're allotted this little infant child, the little baby child, you know, like Amuna, that child that just give hugs for no reason at all. It's a type of Amuna like that. You ain't gonna believe in no Malakim coming to rescue you and to help you fight a battle with 500 people and you alone without believing like a child. It's like Jonathan with his armor bearer. He's like, if we go out, me and you go out, we got a Muna, we got that special type Muna, man. We go out here, and they come out with these, and then we pray to Yahuwah, and then Yahuwah help us. We'll beat them. That's type child like a Muna you gotta have. And you ain't got that type of Muna. He's like, that's the type of Muna he wants. And now, little children, abide in him, so that when he appears, you may have confidence. Why you say children? Because he wants children to have confidence. Like Adam, when he came to see Adam, he didn't have confidence. Because he didn't do what his father said. And not shrink from him in shame at his coming. Because he coming back. He's like, he ain't coming back. Yes, he is. So everything he said, he whipped, he beat you with, he's like, okay, so you won't want me to do that anymore. He's like, no. So therefore, I don't need to do that anymore. My son and daughter, and go on thy business and ain't new. So shall I be beloved of him that is approved. The greater thou art, the more humble thyself. So who's the greatest? The ones who serve or the one who sit recline at the table? And thou shalt find favor before Yahuwah. That's the only way you're going to keep your favor. And many are in high places of renown, but mysteries are revealed unto the meek. For the power of Yahuwah is great and honor with the lowly. Seek not out things that are too hard for thee, neither search for things that are above thy strength. There's no point. But what is commanded thee, think thereupon with reverence, for it is not needful for thee to see with thine eyes the things that are in secret. Be not curious in unnecessary matters. For more things are showed unto thee than men, women, children understand. So we look at all that. We look at Yahushua Mashiach. Look at the light of life. Look at the ore from the beginning. Look at the true foundation. For no foundation can no man lay, which is that which is Yahushua Mashiach. Knowing that for 40 days, not only did he come to settle disputes, but also to strike with the whip. Knowing that these 40 days was him purifying those whom he chosen, to get them ready to receive something that they never had before. But if you want something you never had, you got to do something you never done. And these are all a part of this understanding of Yahushua Mashiach, who desires that we should excel even in everything that we do. For we live in this world, we are not of it. But to live in this world, we must walk in a certain pattern, in the Aydah. And to always make sure that nothing that we build on top of the foundation will be able to abide and it's righteous and true. If you build something on top of it, it's truly going to be tried by fire. And you're going to go through your fiery trials and you'll find out, I should have never had that on there in the first place. And these are all the things that one has to realize within himself. So look at all the things in times past, and we look at everything that's going to happen. For even these times that Yahushua was here, he gave us life eternal and gave us that understanding within ourselves that we should walk even as it was in times past. But knowing it's a different type of walk. It's a walk that one has to be very, very careful in what one does, what one says, what does to the yard and their kaf, and how one thinks, and what things they need to hold on to, and what things they need to let go of. For we live in this world, and we must walk in love and ahaba, in kindness and humility, and we must walk in it continually. For all things are given to him in his hands to cast judgment on us. And if it first begin at us, what would be the end of those who do not obey the truth? For the meek shall inherit the earth. The meek, the Aydah, shall inherit the Aydahs.